Luigi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you, brother? It's good to finally do a stream with you. For the audience, Ubi and I kind of go way back. He was like one of the first Orthodox Christians I reached out to when I was prepping for my debate with Voice of Reason, and so we haven't done a stream yet though. So this is our first time ever doing a stream. So I'm excited to be here.
Indeed, it's a tremendous honor to have you on. Tremendous. So you are notorious online in a good way, right? You did that debate on the Timcast with Brian Shapiro. That was fantastic. That was a really great debate. I don't typically watch debates. I really enjoyed that one.
That's good.
That guy was just constantly chimping out. But it was right on Twitter. He's just constantly chimping out about random things. And you have another debate with him coming up, correct?
Yeah. Yep. He and I are going to be debating on his show. We have to reschedule a date. It was supposed to be yesterday, and it got rescheduled because he had a health issue. So I have that debate coming up, and then I'm also going back on Tim Pool to debate a Muslim scholar, Hassan Shibli, on whether or not Islam is compatible with the West. So that'll be a good one. That's going to be in August. So
excellent. Yeah, I find it funny that someone with the last name Shapiro is bemoaning their health. But
well, yeah, it's actually funny how many people think they just blow past the first name and they think I'm talking about Ben Shapiro. They're like, "Oh, you're going on Ben Shapiro's show?" It's like, no, not yet. Maybe one day.
I told a friend last night about your debate, and he goes, "Oh wow, he's on the Daily Wire." I'm like, no, different. I was like, no, the Daily Wire does not host honest discussions, interesting content, or anything. No.
And to be fair, Daily Wire is kind of dying off anyway. I mean, Ben Shapiro has to put his entire show as an ad now on YouTube just to get people to watch it. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. Ooh. He's paying for full ad campaigns in its entire show. It's literally a 3-hour ad.
Oh,
that's how he gets views. Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was doing really poorly. I didn't know it was doing that poorly.
Yeah.
I know they've just completely freaked out about the whole war in Gaza situation, war in Lebanon, how people are they've had enough of it.
Yeah. No, they're losing their grip on the narrative for sure. And they're scrambling, they're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. That's why they threw 150 million at, a social media campaign here in the States. And it's
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was what that whole $7,000 check thing came from. That the whole meme of like, oh yeah, plus $7,000. It came from that campaign. It was that $150 million campaign.
Did it turn out that they were actually paying people out, or was it just like they were giving promissory
notes? No, it's it was legitimate. In fact, they're also training people up. It's the Hezbollah. I don't know if you're familiar with Hezbollah, but it's
Hezbollah's propaganda, Hebrew for propaganda.
Yeah, yep. So that's they train them up, and then that's why you have these figures that they basically only talk about Israel. The Daily Wire just hired one. He's a black guy, and then there's another one by name of Nick Matau, and these guys only talk about it. They don't talk about anything else.
Wow.
And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So
this is, I thought, okay, yes, this is 4th of July. This is a holiday, but who better to have on than a great patriot like yourself? You are moving in the direction of getting into politics. You talk a lot about nationalism. Nationalism has been considered a bad word, so to say. I've never considered it one, but a lot of people have. Can you start out just sort of briefly for people like the, 5-sentence, 4-sentence version of what is nationalism? What is American nationalism? And well, let's just start there. What is American nationalism?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And how I would kind of describe it is it's loyalty to, so nationalism in general is, as Christians, right? It's loyalty to your nation insofar as it does not contradict with our faith, right? So one of the things that I quote often from the Romanian saints really seem to have a really firm grasp on the right understanding of nationalism. Particularly Saint Dumitru Stanilu, but also Father Justin Parvu has phenomenal quotes on it as well. And basically what they say is, look, nationalism is good, and it's actually part of the natural order. That's something that really stood out to me about Saint Dimitru, is he says that nationalism is so good that it's actually part of the natural order of things. It is something that is, it's programmed into us as humans, right, to be loyal to our nation, right, to be loyal to our people. And you can see this all the way back if you read St. John Chrysostom's commentary, for example, on 1 Timothy 5:8, right, where St. Paul is talking about if you are loyal to, or excuse me, if you fail to provide for those in your kin, right, not just your immediate family, but your entire kin, you're worse than an unbeliever, he says, right. And St. John Chrysostom extrapolates on this, to talking about our obligation to our people, right, above the alien. He uses the term alien. But so yeah, anyways, the basically the elevator pitch on nationalism is that it is loyalty to our nation insofar as it does not contradict with our Christian faith. It's submitted to the Christian faith. And that's something that a lot of people get wrong about American nationalism. When people hear me talking about American nationalism, they get nervous because they're like, they immediately think Protestant, right? And so they think dispensationalism, and they think global war on terror. They think spreading
John
freedom,
Hagee.
spreading freedom and democracy throughout the world. And it's like that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I do think there's a lot of good things from American identity that we can glean, right? And I point this out, just like the church fathers glean from someone like Origen, or like even like Aristotle, right? They don't take everything they write. Obviously, Aristotle got a lot of things wrong, but the church fathers are extrapolating on a lot of Aristotle's ideas,
Yes.
right? And they're baptizing it. And so I say, hey, why can't we do the same thing with the founding fathers of America, right? They got a lot of things right. And yeah, they got some things wrong. Of course they did. And I'm not like a founding father apologist. I am willing to throw them under the bus if I have to, right? If it's something that they genuinely got wrong, okay, we'll baptize it. It's got to go, right? Like I give the example of like the rebellious spirit. I don't really think that's very compatible with orthodoxy. I think that's got to go, right? So yeah, I think basically it's that's kind of what I see nationalism is, and I think it's very compatible with orthodoxy, and that's basically what my entire platform is.
So loyalty to nation, insofar as it does not contradict Christian teaching.
Yes.
And when we say Christian, this gives me an Orthodox Christian.
Yeah.
And I would say that Orthodoxy is really the religion that is the most nationalistic. This is why
100%.
we have autocephalous churches, because we actually value the nation state, we value the people, we value the tribe, so to say. What do you say to people who go, well, America doesn't have an identity? We're a nation of immigrants. It's like, yeah, a nation of immigrants from where? Like,
Right.
like no one wants to answer that question. What do you say to people who say there's just no, that like you can't have an American identity?
Yeah. So this is where there's a couple ways to answer this. So primarily, if you read, like, for example, the Naturalization Act of 1790, and if you read the original state constitutions, the way that the founding fathers saw American identity was a general Christianity, and northern European identity. So that's basically how they saw American identity. Now, this is extended. So like there's, Supreme Court definitions, of like what makes a person. So the Naturalization Act of 1790 is about European identity and how that's really built into America. And then this gets extended from just Northern Europe to really all of Europe when you get into like Supreme Court cases in like the 1900s. So it does get extended a little bit as you kind of have these European immigrants. That's what everybody gets wrong, because under Teddy Roosevelt, you have all these European immigrants coming in, right? But there was what's called a quota system, which comes in the 1920s, that basically was a measure to ensure that American identity doesn't get changed to the point of cultural discohesion. For example, you had to be able to speak English. That was a requirement. Yeah, that was a requirement under Teddy Roosevelt, right?
Being able to communicate with other people with a
with
a common language. Good Lord, the racism. Oh,
yeah. And you had to be able to speak English. You had to have no loyalty to any other country. This is something I point out. I use myself as an example, right? Now, I would consider American to be an ethnicity at this point. I think we've undergone ethnogenesis, and we can unpack that if you want. But
Can
historically,
we unpack that for a moment?
yeah, sure, we can.
What
Yeah.
ethnogenesis is?
Yeah, so ethnogenesis basically is, you have a new people in a new land, that start intermarrying, and basically, what results is a new ethnicity. And so I would say that occurred, right, with Americans, because like take someone like myself, right? So I am Scandinavian, I'm German, I'm English, uh, but I don't have any ties to any. I don't have any ties to Norway. I don't have any ties to Germany. I don't have any ties to England. Like I'm American. Like I that is my ethnicity. My culture is American. My dialect is American, because our dialect of English is different than the British English, right?
And you bring up a good point there, because people who say there's no such thing as, say, like a white culture, no such thing as, say, an American culture.
Right.
Okay, one of the main definitions, and I was an anthropology major, so I know this specifically. One of the main definitions of a culture is that it has its own dialects.
Mhm. Yes.
You have our own dialects of English, and
Yep.
increasingly it's a West Coast English,
Yep.
and is a very specific. It is not the same as, say, Latino English. It's not the same as, say, Black English. And when Blacks start to speak like you and I do, it's, "Oh, you're going white." I mean, we have a very specific culture that's based on a dialect. And then sorry, continue on.
Yeah. So I would consider myself to be the American ethnicity. That's why I call myself ethnically American. And I have no loyalty. This is one thing that Teddy Roosevelt said as a bare minimum requirement. When people ask me what is an American, I say, hey, as a starting point, it's got to be this Teddy Roosevelt quote, where he basically says, we have no flag but the American flag. We have no language but the English language. And we have no loyalty to any country except the United States. Like, those three things to me are like bare minimum requirements to be an American. Like,
Yep.
if there is a country that you would ally with if America was at war with them, if you are living in America and you are an American citizen, but you would ally with a foreign country, you're not an American. You have loyalty to a country not named America, right?
Correct.
This is the case with a lot of Muslims. This is the case with a lot of Jews. They would, if we went to war with Israel, they say, yeah, I would ally with Israel, right? Okay, well then you're not an American. Yeah. You're not an American.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? Yeah. All these Muslim nations, like if we went to war with one of these Muslim
Pakistan.
nations, they say they would ally with them. So that's kind of a good question to sort of ask somebody, like, if they meet that bare minimum requirement. And so yeah, that's what I would say an American is. I do think it has a Northern and Western European identity that is really inseparable from it. I don't think at this point that is absolutely necessary to be an American. Like for an example, I think this is very prevalent with like Hispanics, right? I think a lot of Hispanics like come to America and then they intermarry, right? And that alone is almost its own little ethnogenesis, right? Like they and then their kids and their grandkids, they look and they talk like us, right? And I think that person really is an American. I really think that the person really is ethnically an American. So I do think there is some nuance here. I like to use the example of the Amazon rainforest. So like the Amazon rainforest, right, there's an objective location of the Amazon rainforest, but it's really interesting. No one can agree on like where it starts and where it ends. There's like this transitionary phase, right?
Yes.
Throughout the boundaries of it, right? But what people do is they take those nuances and they say American identity doesn't exist. It's like, okay, that's like saying because there's these transitionary phases in the Amazon rainforest, therefore the Amazon rainforest doesn't exist, right?
Correct.
It's nonsensical, right? And so I see sort of American identity in a very similar fashion, right? I think everybody kind of intuitively knows what an American is, but they like to point out these nuances, right? And they try to build the rule based on the exception.
Now, what you said about it's like Mexicans who come here and they intermarry, it should be noted that the Mexican genome is about 50% European.
Correct. Exactly.
Which is one of the reasons why they end up generally integrating pretty quickly.
Yep. 100%.
And it's very heavily, it's not just Spanish, it's also German. When you listen to Mexican music, you hear that accordion. It has that kind of like oompa loompa sound. That dun, 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 yeah. The
Yeah.
reason is hundreds of thousands of Germans and Poles were settled in specifically northern Mexico, the 1800s. I mean, South America is like a lot more European than you would think. It's a
Yeah.
lot more European than large parts of Europe at this point.
No, it's true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and people want to make this attitude that well, anyone can come here and be an American. It's like, okay, well, what do you do with these countries like say the DRC, where the average IQ is like 70?
Yeah.
These people are
Yeah.
never ever going to be able to integrate ever. I mean, like biology is very real.
Mhm.
When you have a society that was created by people with IQs of 100, 110, someone who has an IQ of 70 or 80, they will never ever be able to integrate.
Yes. Yeah, and I think this is, the whole idea of anyone can be an American is it's very late in American history. It really comes from Reagan. A lot of people love Reagan. I think Reagan was one of the most problematic presidents in American history.
Absolutely.
For many reasons, but this is one of them. This is one of them is that, he has this famous speech where he talks about how anyone can be an American, and you just don't see that like in like in any of the way that presidents talked before that, right? That's just not how they spoke. Like Teddy Roosevelt is the most blatantly obvious, right? But you can go all the way back to the founding fathers again. Like they had a very specific idea of like what an American was, right? And that's why one of the first things they did was pass the Naturalization Act of 1790, and every single naturalization or immigration act all the way up until 1965 reinforced European identity. That was a fundamental aspect of what made someone an American. Once again, are there exceptions? Yes. But what we're talking about right now is the normative principle.
Right. And that's been a normative principle for empires. Well, really for nations for a long time. The only thing that are really multicultural are empires. And that's what I
Mhm.
think is funny is that the left hates the idea of America being called they don't like the idea of America being an empire.
Yeah.
But empires are the only things that are multicultural.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I do
Eh,
think so.
Nations are monocultural typically,
Right.
or the variations are very minimal.
Yes.
The difference between so that there's languages, there's dialects, and there's accents. So what's the difference? The
Mhm.
dialect comes in when you start to have problems understanding people who speak the same language, right? An accent is when you can tell they're from somewhere else, but you can still understand each other effectively, 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Dialects come in when comprehension gets in the way. So, because we're going to be using these as language dialects and accents.
Mhm.
And at this point in American society, you really have an accent
Mhm.
for the dominant group. People that want to move into mainstream society, they take on this West Coast, typically white accent.
Mhm.
They want to fit into that. And I would also add to that, if you look at the general white population in America, it's made up of there's a lot of Scandinavians, but it's primarily German and Irish. Those are the two most common ones that frequent. I mean, it's like those are the people who just had tons of kids.
Yeah.
What would you say are some core tenets of American culture?
Yeah. That's a good question. So, I mean, dating back to like I referenced earlier, the state constitutions, made it very clear that like one of the things was a general Christianity. Like this was something that was very important to the founding fathers, and the reason why, right, is because what were they doing? They were fleeing from an Anglican nation. I point this out actually; it's kind of funny because people are like, "Oh, America was founded, on Protestantism." It's like, well, okay, that's true, but also they were fleeing another Protestant nation. So like there's some
Yeah,
nuance on this term Protestant, right? Because how can it really be that it was founded under Protestantism if they're fleeing another Protestant nation? The founding fathers, it was very important to them to have this general sense of Christianity. This is actually what the First Amendment was actually about. And you can read, so Joseph Story was a very early Supreme Court justice, and his commentary on the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution in general is one of the most influential commentaries from any Supreme Court justice in history. It's read in law schools across the country, and
Can you
his
summarize it briefly?
yeah, and so his commentary on the First Amendment is effectively that the purpose of the amendment was not to allow the rise of Islam or Judaism or secularism. He specifically names those three things. He says that was not the purpose of the First Amendment. He says the purpose of the First Amendment was to allow for anyone who is practicing Christianity to have freedom of religion. That was what he says the purpose of the First Amendment was. He specifically named, and this is why I kind of chuckle when people say, "Oh, America was founded." It was founded on Judeo-Christian values. It's like, well,
Yeah, there's no such thing.
not only is there no such thing, the founding fathers didn't believe there was such thing. Like the founding
Yeah,
fathers
it's
didn't even believe that.
it,
So
it's like saying there's Islamo-Christian values. It's just it doesn't
yeah,
exist.
I like to say the kingdom of Satan is founded on Judeo-Islamic values.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So his commentary, and then you have very early Supreme Court decisions, like in Maryland, for example, in 1799, that also have the same exact interpretation of the First Amendment, right? Of it's this idea that what really was the purpose of the amendment was to allow people to practice Christianity,
Sure.
in whatever denomination they want to practice it. Now, obviously, as Orthodox, there's some problems there, right? But
Can I chime in for a moment?
yeah, go ahead.
I heard this years ago from the late Father Peter Gilquist. I think it was like I can't remember what year it was, but the IRS used to say, and for those who are not from America, the IRS is the tax man. The IRS used to say in order to be considered a church and therefore a nonprofit, you had to have communion.
Mm,
And it had to be regular. So it was a fairly I mean, relative to now, a more limited Christianity that they were promoting.
yes.
It tended to be like, high church, low church. Like even the quote low church were fairly liturgical.
Yeah. Yes. Very true.
Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
No, no, it's a great point. Yeah. And they also had, so what's interesting is I point out, so obviously I'm not like delusional into thinking that like America was founded on like orthodoxy or something, but it is really interesting. Like there is some bits and pieces of Orthodox identity very early on. So
Mhm.
Philip Bloodwell
What would those
III,
be?
yeah, Philip Bloodwell III is the most famous. So he was the first convert to the Orthodox Church. He was a founding father. He was actually a Virginian governing official. He played a role in appointing George Washington to colonel, and he was a convert from Anglicanism to Orthodoxy.
Hmm.
And there's John Paradise. John Paradise was Thomas Jefferson's tutor, and he was the first ever naturalized citizen in America, and he was Greek Orthodox.
Really? What
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of him before.
Yeah, so he taught Thomas Jefferson Greek. He was his personal Greek tutor, and
Was he actually, like, ethnically Greek?
yeah, yep, yes,
So, like, Paradise was probably short for, like, I don't know, Paradiseopolis or something
something
like that.
something like that. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. So he was the first ever naturalized citizen, and he was Greek Orthodox. And then you also had 1400. So in St. Augustine, Florida, where the shrine, the St. Photius shrine. By the way, very ironic. I give credit to the Greeks for making it the St. Photius shrine in St. Augustine, Florida. I thought that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
With the-
In reality, it's probably, like, some old Greek guy named Photius is like, Photius Baklavopoulos is like,
yeah, maybe.
"I want to make a shrine in this city, so nice."
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. Just the
Ernest
irony, though. It's just
Baklavopoulos, yeah.
yeah. I just find the irony hilarious. Like, yeah. So the Greeks come to St. Augustine, Florida, and they put up St. Photius shrine. Like, I see it. I know what you guys are doing. But yeah, So there was 1400 in 1768. There was 1400 Greeks that came to St. Augustine, Florida, and so that was also they're obviously majority Orthodox. So that was also some very early identity. And then Alaska, of course, is also very famous because
Do
actually
you
when
know
go
do
ahead.
you know which part of Greece or part of the Greek-speaking world? Because at that point, it would have been spread throughout Turkey and, which part of the
I
Greek-speaking world were
I
they
don't remember
from?
where they came from. I want to say it actually. I think it was Turkey. I do think they came from
Oh,
Turkey,
perfect.
but
Smyrna is probably from Izmir, or
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
Turkish
don't
for
quote me on
Smyrna.
it, but don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure, yes. And then of course, the Russian Orthodox in Alaska as well that predates the America's founding. They were in Alaska already. And then actually a lot of people don't know this, but when Alaska later gets absorbed into the US, 1/3 of its population was Orthodox.
Yeah,
So a substantial portion of its population. So all this to say, basically the argument I lay out is like, hey, like the founding fathers founded America as a Christian nation, and they viewed orthodoxy as a valid expression of Christianity. Generally they did. Now, they didn't like each other. They didn't like each other's expressions of Christianity either. So of
right.
course there was probably some animosity towards Orthodox, just like there was to the Catholics, right? And to each other, right? But in a general sense, they saw orthodoxy as a valid expression, right? And so you can see this very evidently, like I said, in 12 of the 14. So if you include Vermont, 12 of the 14 original state constitutions had explicit Christian language. I'm not talking about a vague attestation to a god or a creator. No, the triune God, the divine revelation of the Old and New Testament, explicitly Christian language in 12 out of 14 of the original state constitutions. So when the federal constitution is talking about, this sort of like, Congress shall pass no law, right? It's talking about the federal constitution or the federal Congress, right? It's not talking
Correct.
about the state. And actually, the reason it did that is because the states already had state churches. That was why they did it. They were like, we don't want to establish a state church at the national level because you guys are already doing it at the state level. That was actually the reason why they built that into the Constitution.
Well, and
Um,
on top of it, most people don't. I mean, you realize this, as well as you, I mean, you realize this well, but a lot of younger people don't get this, and that is these states were founded. I mean, there's a reason we call the states states, not provinces.
yes.
They were founded as little countries before the Civil War. The Civil War was a major turning point in how America saw itself. Prior to the Civil War, you said the United States are a country.
Yep.
After the Civil War, people started to say the United States is a country.
Yes.
They really saw these states as different. I mean, they were nations. They were coming together in a federation, is how it was understood.
Mm-hmm.
And they
100%.
had separate currencies in a lot of ways. I mean, some had separate currencies early on. They had, I mean, the militias that they had were, I mean, the federal government didn't just like walk in there with their military because these militias were so large and they were trained. So that should be in the backdrop of your guys' mind as you listen to Ben talk about, how the states had laws about state churches versus the federal government. The
Yeah.
federal government was just basically there as a sort of common language between the states. I
Yeah.
mean, and maybe a common pidgin language between the states. But yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, continue.
No, one final point on the Christian founding, and then I can maybe talk about some cultural aspects too that are beyond just the religious aspect. One of the things that a lot of people get wrong is, and Jay, for example, is correct, and Jay talks about this a lot, right? Like the Masonic, the Masonic aspects of the founding of America. All of that is true. What's
Mhm.
interesting, what blew my mind though, when I started looking into this, is the vast majority of the actual signers of the Constitution and of the Declaration of Independence, the vast majority were not Masons and they were confessional Christians. So they were not deists. They were not they weren't not like heretics in the sense of like Arians, and they were heretics in the sense that they were Protestant, right? But they were
Mhm.
confessional Christians. They were Trinitarian Christians, right? Who were not Masons. The vast majority of them. Now, the Masons end up getting propped up, right? And this is where the subversion happened, right? Is like there was a propping up of the founding fathers who were Masonic, right? And who were Masons. That's true, right? But like John Quincy Adams, for example, I mean, started an entire political party to counter the Masons, like an entire anti-Masonic political party, right? So yes, there were Masonic aspects, but there was also like this counter Masonic, movement going on at the same time, right? And so that's something that a lot of people get wrong. They're like, "Oh, America was founded by Masonic deists," and it's like, well, not really, not really. It was actually founded by mostly confessional Christians who were not Masons. So, So yeah, that's kind of the last point on that, the Christian founding. There's other stuff that's more fun to talk about. Like, I mean, I think it's kind of funny, when people say like you brought up the white people don't have culture thing, because my goodness, like we looked at the sport. Look, you got the World Cup going on right now, right?
Yeah.
We looked at the sport that everybody else was practicing, like everybody else was playing, and we were like, nah, we're gonna make our own sport.
Yeah.
And we turned it into like the best thing ever, man. Like, American football is awesome. I know it's like goy slop and whatever. I got it. Okay. But it's freaking
As a
awesome, man.
game, it's very
Yes.
fun.
As a game, it's incredible. It's literally like the best athletes in the world. Like, and you have these great minds basically playing chess with like these best athletes in the world. It's just like an incredible, and it's the ultimate team sport, right? It's the ultimate team sport. Like, you can have the best quarterback in the league, but if you don't have a good offensive line, you're gonna get wrecked, right? Like, you're gonna go 2-15, right? So all this to say, like, I think that there are some very cool aspects of like American culture, right? Like, that are really part of American identity. I think, football, I think Southern food, oh my gosh, like freaking like brisket and, like all the stuff that you find, deep in the South. I think, Christianity is a fundamental aspect. I think football is a fundamental aspect. I think like country music. Does anybody else have country music? Like, no, I don't think so. Right. I don't know. Maybe they're copying us. Right.
So you bring
But
up a great point, and that is they go, well, Germany has culture, France has culture, the
yeah.
UK has culture, Russia's, well, America doesn't. You're like, where do you think like UK culture came from? Where do you think German culture came from? At some point, it was something else.
Yep.
It morphed. I mean, there's no such like there's no such thing as just like out of the blue, boom, a culture pops. Like, oh wow, like we just have like like Arkansas culture like in the middle of like Vietnam. No, it doesn't happen. Things slowly morph over time, and so at what point does it become an actual separate culture? And there's a question. This is a question that none of these people who go, well, there's no such thing as American culture. They never want to answer this. Well, there's a mix from everywhere else. Yeah. What do you think English culture is? It's a mixture between Anglo-Saxon with a Celtic base, and then from there you have the Normans come in. Now it's increasingly Pakistani and Indian, but it's gonna be totally wiped out. But we'll be
It's
talking
those
about English
futures.
to
It's those
Bob.
future doctors and lawyers. Ubi, what are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, the but this, yeah, it doesn't take that long for actual cultures and subcultures to form. So this idea that America doesn't have a culture in of itself, it's like, no, it's very heavily based on sort of an Anglo-Saxon, culture, a German Anglo-Saxon culture, very heavily based as sprinklings of Italian in it. That's what it is. But again, all cultures start somewhere. They're all mixtures of something previous. None of them just spring out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yep.
So
one Hundred
the
percent.
standard that these people are using to disqualify American culture disqualifies all cultures.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I tell people, I'm like, if you think America doesn't have culture, like, you just haven't been to the South. Like, my wife and I recently moved to the South, and I
Which part?
South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, northern side of South Carolina, yeah. And I mean, my goodness, like, first of all, these people are like the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like, I mean, and that's saying something, because so I was raised in Minnesota, which is like known as like Minnesota nice. I mean, now it's freaking, Somaliville, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you fly into MSP, and it's like you literally flew into Somalia. Like, and I'm not exaggerating, because the second highest concentration of Somalis in the world is in my hometown in Minnesota, behind only Somalia itself. That's how many Somalis are there.
There
So
were a huge amount of Somalis in Seattle as well.
yeah, yeah,
And
it's
they were I mean, to me, they like the women were sociable, but the men, I mean, they're just kind of like, yeah, they're off doing their own thing. They got the orange beards.
yeah.
They're all like Uber drivers. They're not terribly sociable, beyond like minimal interactions, and it's really only the women that are semi-sociable, the younger ones.
You know what's really scary about it too? Is they'll have, so like in Minnesota, right? There's like whole communities of Somalis where they don't speak English. Like, and what I mean by they don't speak English, I don't just mean that like they don't speak it in the day to day. They don't speak it. They cannot speak English. Like they just refuse to assimilate in any sense. But what's really scary is like they'll have like markets. They'll have like markets for their fellow Somalis to come, and these markets they'll just leave everything unattended. And this is why I say it's wrong to say that these are low trust societies. Oh no, they're very high trust amongst themselves.
Yes.
They're very high trust amongst themselves. It's when white people start getting involved that they become low trust. And what I mean by that is that's where you get the fraud. That's where you get $9 billion of fraud. They wouldn't do that to their fellow Somali. No, they're stealing. No. They're stealing from the mean white man that, by the way, welcomed them into their country, by the way. But they have no problem stealing from local Americans, right? But they won't steal from themselves. They're a very high trust society amongst themselves. They're very tribal, which is, by the way, how everybody in the world thinks.
Exactly. Yes. There you go. And people go, well, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, look, I lived 2 years in Syria. I lived 6 months on the West Bank. I lived an academic year in the Sultan of Oman in some tiny little village called Sur. 60,000 Gulf Arabs, 10,000 Indians, Pakistanis, and about 20 or so Westerners. Okay, that was Sur. I've lived in China. I've lived in Thailand. I've lived in Turkey twice. Okay, I've 5 years abroad. Everyone outside of white Westerners thinks in terms of my tribe.
Yep.
Screw everyone else, my tribe. Everyone. Like it's like, I mean, like we're missing something here. We're really missing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've realized that the secret to survival is going, my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can be friendly to people outside tribes, but my tribe, my territory. And they link it to territory, physical land, physical territory.
Yes.
And the fact that we've been brainwashed into thinking that this is a bad thing is absolutely ludicrous.
Right.
And
yeah.
you look at these areas, I mean, it's like, okay, so one more thing is that the reason why you find these high trust societies, like say the Somalis, is because they're related.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily someone from southern Somalia and someone from, say, the northern, and I'm not talking about Somaliland, but like the northern part of like recognized Somalia. They're not actually, well, recognized northern Somalia is Somaliland, but like, let's say someone from Somaliland and someone from, say, like, I don't know, like Djibouti.
Right.
They're going to trust each other more than they're going to trust you or I, but amongst themselves, they're not going to trust each other. They're going to go back to their clan, and they come over on these relative visa chains. And there a lot of them are from the same village, the same city, and that's why they trust each other, because they go that ordo amoris, right? That the
right.
order of love.
Exactly. Which is absolutely Christian. Which is why you have St. John Chrysostom and St. Augustine speaking that way. So those who follow me know this quote, and maybe you've heard me reference it as well. But I want to read it because it's just so good. It's on this topic exactly, and it's from Father Athanasios, who just reposed. He's a Greek elder that just reposed in, I think, 2005. He'll be canonized. He's highly venerated in Greece. But he says this about this very topic. He says, fatherland is something determined by the word of God. In other words, God himself wants there to be borders between peoples, and consequently, particular fatherlands. Thus, our entire earth is divided, apportioned into fatherlands with borders. But while God, note this point that I am about to tell you, while God defines the borders of the peoples, as the Apostle Paul says to the Athenians, he hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, Acts 17:26, where the bounds are the borders. And God also ordains how long a people will live. In other words, he ordains the times before appointed. Now, what I want you to note is this, and it is very important. The Antichrist, on the contrary, will break down the borders of peoples.
Yes.
And will become master of the whole world. This is very important. We expect it. In fact, there is the argument today that because of the wars between the peoples must unite so that there may be no more borders and thus no more war. Yet this is the work of the Antichrist. This is made clear to us according to the Father's interpretation of Holy Scripture. So if you look at what is happening now in Europe, the next step will be the abolition of borders. Then you can say the Antichrist is coming. All these things are the preparation of the kingdom, the empire of the Antichrist. I just think that's such a phenomenal quote because it really, and Saint Seraphim Rose has a very similar one about how this is the work. It is really the work of the Antichrist to destroy identity. That is something that and this is, Marx says this explicitly. Karl Marx explicitly says that a man without identity is a man that is easily controlled, right? And so this is something that the Antichrist requires, right, in order for him to accomplish his end game, right? Is this breaking down of borders, this breaking down of tribalism, the order of Morris that you just referenced. He wants to destroy that, and he's doing it under the guise of Christian virtue by saying, oh, we're all equal. Saint Seraphim Rose says, oh, no, we're not. We're all equal in Christ, yes, but it's the work of the Antichrist to destroy distinction, right? So, yeah, it's a hijacking of something that is so true. It's beautiful and true that we're all equal in Christ. But a very quick reductio you can make is be like, does that mean that gender no longer exists? Well,
Yeah, you hear that whole like, oh, there's neither Jew nor Greek male.
yeah,
It's like, are you saying there's like, no, we're all just monogender?
yeah, yeah, which is obviously not true. And usually the people that are saying this understand that. And so this is how I kind of help them get there. It's like, okay, so if gender still exists as a real category, even though men and women are equal under Christ, but it still exists as a real category, then so does ethnicity, so does race, so do these other things, right?
And I've pointed that out before, and the answer I get is like, well, I'm not, okay, so you're gonna marry two guys, Father Baklavopoulos?
Yeah.
Well, 'cause you get some of these like boomer Greeks who are like, I mean, there's a joke. Someone wrote in, told me this joke. They go, yeah, like my priest, he's like, this is someone wrote in. He goes, yeah, my priest is, like, boomer,
Yeah.
Greek guy, and he, will sometimes just make comments. It sounds like he got him off like MSNBC, and he goes, what is he gonna do when he finds out that when he finds out the political views of like almost everyone in his parish under 45.
Right.
I mean, when he finds out, I mean, because in his view, these people are effectively neo-Nazis when he finds out their views. It's like, oh my gosh, he's gonna have a heart attack. He's just gonna freak out. And I'm like, I think that's the case at like most of these parishes.
Yeah. And it's
Like the
really
views of
not.
the people 45 and under are
Yep.
radically different than the boomers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the attitude that these younger people have is we're biding our time until Father Baklavopoulos retires.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I had a conversation with, so Father Peter Here's brother, John Here's, he and I had a great conversation. He's a dear brother. But he has kind of that sort of perspective that you're describing, of like,
Sorry, who
um,
is this?
John Here's, it's Father Peter Here's his brother.
Okay.
He also makes content and stuff, and he actually goes to my parish. He's cool. He's cool. But we had a conversation on race and nationalism over on his show that I usually direct people to because he pressed me on a lot of these issues because he sort of has, I hate to call it the boomer mentality, but that's kind of what it is.
How old is he?
I'm not sure. I think if I had to guess, I think he's in his late 50s. If I
Oh,
had to
okay.
guess. Yeah, mid to late 50s, probably, I think.
See, I'm a
Um,
millennial. I'm 42, but
yeah,
I've been like all of the things the left hates.
yeah,
I've been that since since I can remember.
yeah.
And I grew up in ultra left-wing Seattle. Like I'm like, no, no, I'm not. No, we're not getting into
Yeah,
this. No,
I give you credit.
there's no
You've
one race to
transcended it.
human race. No, like I've interacted with these people. No, IQ is real. No, I'm not into this like Skittles crap. No. No, no, from a young age, I'm like, "Nah." I remember my mom listening to Pat Buchanan speak on, oh god, what was that show with David Brinkley? This is going way back when I was a
I
kid.
don't know the name of the show, but I always keep my my copy of Death of the West right here.
Great guy. And Pat Buchanan was speaking, and my mom was
I have
just
a
like
book right here, right there, right in my set.
my mom was like folding laundry. She's like, "Oh my god, Pat Buchanan is so crazy." And I'm like 9 years old. I'm listening to this. I'm like, "This dude sounds great. This guy sounds great." Like, I mean, when you have, like, sisters like I do, you're not like, "Yeah, I think women should vote." Like, no. Like, when you grow up around women, you do not think they should make decisions for everyone else. It's like, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
I
Okay?
love
It's I've been
yeah.
far like, I've been ultra far right since I can remember.
You know what's crazy about that framing too is like I don't even see myself that way. Like, yeah, I describe myself colloquially as like, far right because like that's what people, see me as, right? But like I think this stuff is like common sense, man. Like I really do. Like it's like common sense to be tribal. It's common sense to understand that IQ is a real thing, right? And what often happens is people hear what I'm not saying, right? Oh boy.
Most men should not even be allowed to vote. I think you should
That's
have to take an IQ test, one, to come into the country.
yeah.
So, why should we be bringing people in who have IQs below the average? I think you should have to prove that you have an IQ abo 10 points above average, okay? 2, I think you should have to have a relatively high IQ, 120 or higher in order to vote.
I think at a bare minimum, some sort of gatekeeping. Maybe I've always said net positive taxpayers. I think that should be a bare minimum requirement to vote. You have to be a net positive
That's one of them.
taxpayer. Yeah, I mean, there's the founding father. This is a lot of things that people get wrong about, about American founding too. Is like people don't realize that most men didn't get the right to vote until like 20 years before women did. Like most men were not able to vote before then either, right?
Well, you have to be a
Um,
landowner,
yeah,
and this
exactly.
goes way back, right? So it's why is it that the Romans so those familiar with the Roman history know about the story of Gaius Marius and Marius's mules. Okay, so originally in Rome, you had to be a landowner to fight in the military.
Hmm.
Do you know why they made that a rule?
Why is that?
Because if you're on the front lines and you're about to get killed, why would you stay there unless you have a stake in society?
Mm,
If you own land, you are tied to the well-being of that republic because a republic guarantees your rights. So if you own land, you can't just pick up and go somewhere else.
mhm,
You're leaving behind too much. So they said people that don't own land are not invested enough in the society in order to die on a battlefield.
mm,
Because in ancient battles, most of the deaths didn't come from the two armies clashing. It came when one of them started to retreat and broke lines and got routed.
mm,
That's where almost all of the deaths came from. Oftentimes, the two armies would clash, it'd hit shields, okay, and then they after a while, they kind of break off. You'd have, like, very, very few, very low casualties. The reason why you see these extremely one-sided, casualty ratios is because one side would break ranks and flee, and the other would chase them down and kill them. So your safety wasn't staying in that shield wall. So how do you guarantee that people are gonna stay, or almost guarantee? You make sure that they have a stake in society, and the biggest stake in society is land.
mm.
This is
Yeah.
why the Romans would say, you take your older, more experienced soldiers who are landowners, put them on the front lines, right? And then you have your less experienced landowners behind, and then you have what they call the triarii behind that. But Marius turned it around. And that was in what, 103, I think BC, 103. Marius goes, okay, look, we don't have enough soldiers. So I think that we should allow in landless males into the military. And everyone agrees, every historian agrees, this is the beginning of the end for the Republic. And the reason is that all of a sudden the soldiers were far more loyal to the generals who would get them booty than they were to the Republic.
Mm,
It's at that point, I mean, if you have no land, what does it matter? You just move to another area.
right.
Take your movable wealth with you. Well, land isn't movable wealth. And so we're watching this now. It's super easy to just be a citizen. These people have no stake in society. They don't care. The whole country is becoming smash and grab for third worlders.
Mhm.
They're going to outvote us. Amy Conbert totally betrayed the country. But she's treasonous at this point. Absolutely treasonous. It was a horrible idea to appoint her. Donald Trump has completely lost it. I remember seeing her appointed and just thinking, "No. No." I want a dude who looks like that Chad meme. I want him appointed to the Supreme Court. I wanna look at the Supreme Court and just see nothing but those, like, Chad memes.
Yeah. It's interesting, like, studying too, because the majority of women opposed, like, you brought up, like, the 19th, for example, um, and it's
That
really
was
interesting.
Varus. Howitzer, that was Varus, okay, the Teutoburg Forest, not Marius.
Oh,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's interesting because like the majority of women like actually opposed it. This is a beautiful. There's this. I was trying to find this. Um, this was from the women's protest against women's suffrage. So it was like over 90% of women actually opposed it. And this is like a beautiful passage
Yeah,
they
women
wrote.
don't trust each other.
Yeah, this was a
They really
beautiful.
don't.
This was a beautiful passage that they wrote in their justification. It says, because it is our fathers, brothers, husbands, and sons who represent us at the ballot box. Our fathers and our brothers love us. Our husbands are our choice and one with us. Our sons are what we make them. We are content that they represent us in the cornfield, on the battlefield, and at the ballot box, and we them in the schoolroom, at the fireside, and at the cradle, believing our representation, even at the ballot box, to thus be more full and impartial than it would be were the views of the few who wish suffrage adopted, contrary to the judgment of many. I think that's just so beautiful. Like it just really breaks down. And that was from a group of women. That majority of women felt that way, and they wrote this as a justification for why we don't want this. Right? It was a violation. They saw it as a violation of what the role of women was in society. Right? And they trusted that, hey, I get to pick my husband and I get to make my son who he is. So therefore I can trust, their decision, in this arena of society. Right. That was basically their justification.
Well, we had a whole system set up that actually worked. It was a system that worked since time immemorial,
Yeah.
and that was having children is the most important, like, rearing new citizens is the most important job in society. It's the one women do, and we've co-opted them and psyoped them into thinking that, sitting in some, like, cubicle, some just, like, cold, godless cubicle, preparing, attending meetings, talking about meetings in preparation for another meeting, moving information from one Excel sheet to another is better than the most important job in society. And then on top of it, that as a male, the most important, and this is psychology here, is psychology 101. Until you're 7 or 8 years old, the most important person in your life is your mother. After
Hmm.
that, it's your father. So your mother teaches you to feel safe, to feel loved, basic hygiene, basic manners, etiquette. Your father teaches you boundaries, your self-confidence, teaches you skill. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have children?
No, not yet.
Okay, you'll learn this very quickly when you have kids.
Yeah.
Mothers will keep their children as little children forever, unless the kids are literally pulled away by the dad and go, "No, they're coming with me." Now I have daughters, so it's okay, right? Right? But, I mean, if I had
Yeah.
sons, I'd be like, "No, you're getting in that attic right now. I don't
Yeah.
wanna hear it." Like, I mean, I remember being 12 years old and, like, I had to go work for my father, who's a general
Yeah.
contractor, and that was horrible, and
Yeah.
it was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yep.
It's just, so anyway, sorry, continue.
No, yeah, no, I just want to make that point. It's just interesting. It was interesting to me. They also opposed second wave feminism too. It's really interesting, how astroturfed these movements really were in history, and then how destructive they were, on society, and
Absolutely.
um, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I see American identity is, and I think I really think that there was something that happened in the 20th century, man, and it was slow and it was methodical, the subversion, right? But like we just became a different country, and really, I don't think it really culminated. I think there was seeds that were planted that really come into fruition in the 1960s. I mean, the 1960s were a horrible decade, the worst decade in American history by far. You have the sexual revolution. You have the civil rights movement. You have the Immigration Act of 1965. You have basically this rise of this anti-fascism. There's a guy named by the name of Theodore Adorno who came up with what's called the F scale, and it was like this scale to like see how fascist are you, and like one of his metrics was literally if you were a white person that believed in like family values for your white family, that made you a fascist. Like that was one of the metrics that made you a fascist. Like there was this. It was basically it was that, and you see this today, right? Like everything. This dates all the way back to the 19. It actually really predates. It's really the 1950s, Post World War II is when you see this start happening, right? This basically demonization of fascism to the extent that just like everything I don't like is fascism. That's basically what happened, right? And that's exactly what you see today, right? And that's why, I get called, a fascist. I don't even know what that word means anymore at this point. It's so
Yeah,
funny how
you
these
believe that
words.
what, like, you believe in the government taking over the private means of production? Do you know the most fascist, I mean, by the definition, classic definition of
Yeah.
fascism, the government directing private corporations. Y Barack Obama was a fascist
Mhm. Yeah.
because of Obamacare.
Well, and the most fascist president would have been FDR, because because for a lot of reasons. And he tried to be a full-blown fascist, actually. At certain points he tried to pack the court and things of that nature, and but
Well,
anyways,
where do you see where do you see this, I mean, socially, where do you see this going? Do you see this, like, turning around at all? Do you see it just getting
mm,
way, I mean,
good question.
personally, I see it getting way worse before it gets better. I think it just has to be a situation that crashes and burns before people go, "Whoa." And I think that's gonna come in the form of the US effectively defaulting on the debt. They're not gonna come out and just go, "Yeah, we're not paying back any of it." I think
Yeah.
what's gonna happen is they're gonna go, "Well, we're gonna restructure it. Well, we're gonna do this," and then it just turns into mass inflation. We're $40 trillion in the hole.
Yeah.
And people who think that you can just put your money in the stock market and be fine, what do you think is gonna happen in the stock market when they start defaulting on debt?
Mhm.
Just wipe out.
Yeah, and the interest alone, continues to rise, each year as well. And yeah, no, it's a problem. I see a lot of different possibilities, to be honest. I think the most likely is some form of balkanization, and it's obviously very hard to predict how exactly that would occur. But one of the things that I think is absolutely crucial right now is gaining leadership in various states where we have a stronghold. And that's a big reason why I came to South Carolina. Is because I kind of see South Carolina is the fastest growing state in the country right now. It's really the next Florida. That's what all the analytics are pointing to. Um, and so it's going to be, this is going to be, where the fight is kind of, in the next 10, 15 years. And because if and when balkanization occurs, um, state leadership is going to be absolutely crucial, right? And so I believe that people need to be getting involved in their community government and in their state government, because at this point, I mean, look, like Trump was probably our last hope as far as like the
Absolutely.
federal government. I mean, I could be wrong. We maybe someone will come, rise from the dust, like Nick Fuentes is convinced is going to happen. I don't know, but at this point, I just don't know if that's really going to be the case. And so I'm like, look, man, I think our best bet right now is state leadership. I mean, you look at what Fishback is doing in Florida. I think that's really a precursor. He's probably going to lose, but I think he's going to get a substantial portion
Absolutely.
of the votes. And I think that's a huge white pill for me. I think, yeah, Florida's going to be they're going to be stuck with Byron for a couple years, but Fishback's going to run again, and eventually he's going to win, right? And I think a lot of these other states are going to have similar figures, kind of try to emulate what Fishback tried to do. And I think you're going to see more and more candidates. I think you're going to see a lot more AF candidates in general, just even running for like Congress. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's every day is a battle. Ubi. It's like I'm black pilled and I'm white pilled at like the same time. It's like it's really because I see. Here's the other factor here, right? So there's political infiltration, which is happening,
Mhm.
right? But there's also cultural revolution happening. And this is the white pill for
Correct.
as
Absolutely.
Orthodox, this is the biggest white pill, right? Because you have basically two things happening. You have a rise of religiosity. Now, what's really interesting is Gen Z is not they're not more religious in number as far as percentage. They're about the
But in
same as
intensity.
exactly, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
The frequency of church attendance, it's how seriously they take the actual religion. And by the way, that's how minority movements really do some damage in society. I'm talking about damage in a good way, right? Like that's how they actually gain traction is when you have a very dedicated group.
Core.
Yes. Very
It's
dedicated
like I've
core group.
said before, like, we are way more genetic than we want to admit. Our
Yeah.
behavior's way more genetic than we wanna admit, okay? I really do think, I mean, there are genetics to be more religious, to be more fervent about that, and that
Yeah.
doesn't mean, well, people that aren't, genetically more religious, we'll just forget them. No. It's a job of those people who are just predisposed to be more religious. It's your job to energize society. You have to be
Yep.
that
Yep.
that yeast in the loaf that gets others around you excited and brought in. That's your gift, right? Some people are just naturally strong. Okay, well, guess what? That you're the guy who has to go to your friends and go, "Hey, come to the gym with me a bit." It's like you gotta be that light at the end of the tunnel to people.
Yeah.
Um, and it's the other thing I wanna add this in, I wanted your opinion on this. I think one of the things that you can really do as a young guy to, if you really wanna make a difference, and people will go, "Oh, this is so boomer." It's like, no. The most important elections are, 1, the local ones, as you said. 2, the local DA, district
Mm.
attorney,
Yeah.
absolutely crucial election. If you really wanna make a difference, go to law school, become a lawyer, work towards getting elected as a DA in an area. George Soros is a system hacker. He's excellent at it. And he went straight for the DAs when he wanted to break the system.
Yeah.
Immediately went for getting his DAs put in there because the DA decides whether or not charges are going to be pressed. The DAs keep releasing all these people and just creating chaos.
Yeah.
Because Soros's whole idea is that in times of chaos, people turn towards new systems.
Yeah.
So his idea is to create chaos. They really do think that the more chaos you create, that this is gonna be the time when they can, their glorious revolution will rise out of it. It's and they don't care how many bodies are left behind. They really don't. And ultimately, there's no arguing with these people. There's just dominating them. This is
Yeah.
something I learned growing up in ultra left wing Seattle. You don't argue with the left. You dominate them. You
Yes.
subjugate them.
Yeah.
These are not people who have thoughts that are worthwhile. These are
Correct.
not people who deserve basic human rights. I mean, we can't like. I'm not saying we do horrible things to them, but their voices don't deserve to be heard.
Right. Agreed.
They're not to be taken seriously. They're to be mocked.
No, I make this point all the time. These people want you. I mean, the Sam Hyde quote, right? Like they want you dead. They want your children raped and brainwashed. Like that is what
I
they
can't
think of
say
you.
the R word.
Oh, sorry.
Can't
uh,
say the R word. Can't say the N word. Can't say the
got
F
you,
word.
got you. But like that is literally like how these people see you, right? Like that they want you wiped off the face of the earth. They want your children brainwashed, right? And that's how they see you. So like, what are you going to do about that, right? What are you going to do about that? But I want to land this this point I was making. So the two things that are happening, right? The rise of religiosity, and then the other thing is people are also simultaneously awakening to these issues that they've never really awoken to. At least you've probably. I mean, I've never seen it in my generation, in my lifetime. I don't know if you've seen it in your lifetime, but I mean, this rise of like awakening in these issues of like identity and Israel and these really really relevant people are realizing how relevant these issues are. And so basically you have these two things going on. You have the rise of religiosity, you have the awakening to political issues that nobody has ever awoken to, because up until this point, right, at least in the modern American history, it's the mighty dollar, right? It's GDP, right? And this is what Pat Buchanan's like biggest thing was, his biggest criticism was, right? Was, hey, it's not all about GDP, right? And so where am I going with this? Well, I think orthodoxy is the only one that actually answers both of these, because you have sure, you have Roman Catholics and Protestants that might answer the religious aspect, but they're completely infiltrated on the political aspect. They're completely infiltrated, right? I mean, and we can get into this if we want, but I mean, you literally have like a document from Francis that says that they don't even sponsor, the Catholic Church does not sponsor mission work to Jews. Every single pope since Vatican II has made a conscious effort to like go out of their way to talk about how great Jews are. It's like the first thing that Leo
Yeah, it's
did.
bizarre.
It was literally like one of the first documents that Pope Leo released was talking about, it was basically to this rabbi, and anyone can go read the actual document to see. And it's not just combating anti-Semitism. That's what a lot of people a lot of people try to say. They're like, oh, they're just combating anti-Semitism. It's not actually wrong. No, dude, they're talking about reading the Bible in a Jewish way. That's a quote from I think JP2 said that. Like I said, Francis saying in a formal document that the Catholic Church does not sponsor mission work to Jews. Like, so anyways, the Catholic Church is clearly infiltrated, on many fronts. All the Protestant, denominations are completely infiltrated. That's where you have dispensationalism running rampant. You have literally in high church Protestantism, as much as I appreciate what Redeemed Zoomer is trying to do, bro, you got like female tranny bishops right now. So like, I mean, it's not looking too hot. Like the Orthodox Church is the only one that actually answers both of these things, right?
Yeah.
So you have the religious aspect, right? The spiritual aspect, and then you have the political aspect, like you brought up, the nationalistic mentality, the anti-Zionism, that's very prevalent. We just saw, I don't know if you saw this clip yesterday from Apostate Prophet, basically finally came clean and was like, yeah, they didn't let me get baptized because of my political views on Israel.
Thank God. Thank
I
God.
mean,
I mean, we have this idea that we need to convert everyone. It's like, no, we need to gatekeep this stuff. We can't just be bringing in whoever. And there's a few reasons for that. One, you do have subversives. Okay, you do. Was it Nostra Aetate from Vatican II? It was written by basically a homosexual Jew who
yes.
converted, and then after he got it published, he just left, and mission accomplished.
He went back. He reverted back to his I can't say certain words, but his homosexual tendencies.
Yeah,
his
and no
sodomy.
longer practice Catholicism,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, and also it's when we bring people in quickly, they tend to apostatize. So, and
Yeah.
that scandalizes a congregation. It's also not good for that person who feels like they flopped out of yet one more thing. So, it's you know we need to gatekeep. I mean, recently someone was telling me, well, we have this problem where, for 6 months you attend the parish and, you never get to talk to the priest. Then you're told to go through catechism. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why is this a bad thing? It weeds out people that are not really into it.
Right.
Our goal should not be to convert everyone. Our goal should be to convert the worthwhile ones. We need to look at this as like a sports team. Who are we recruiting? No, I'm serious. Who are we recruiting who is worthwhile? Because we're in these beginning phases. So when you invest, you want to invest in stocks that grow. Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, until the stock market falls apart, but you don't want to just spend your money and your time on penny stocks that are just they're worthless. And this is why we need to have effectively a hazing. When I hear about all these people being brought in, my first thought is, okay, what kind of catechism did they get and for how long? How many of these people are going to be here in 5 years? That's what
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, and what's frustrating is like, like Apostate Prophet, for example, like, dude, you could just submit to the church. Like you're just refusing to do it. Like he tries to paint it. He's like, oh, it's just my personal political views. It's like, no, dude, that's not how this works. Like when you are submitting to the church, you're submitting your entire
Polyamory,
self.
it's just my personal sexual views. Right? Like
Yeah,
eating meat on
exactly.
Friday, it's just my personal culinary views. Like
Yeah.
polygamy, it's just my personal marital views.
Yeah.
The guy,
Yeah,
I've watched a guy and he's intolerable. He's extremely smug.
yep.
He's extremely smug. He really thinks he's like hot stuff. And he's just not that interesting.
Did you see this comment
He's what? Which
that
one?
you borrow one?
What? There are a lot of them. People mock him in the
From
comments.
Pufferfish.
Ibarra can't even enter the gate. You don't have to be gatekeeper. Ibarra. Dude, when I saw him for that Matt Fradd debate, oh my! The first thought, my eyes got huge. I could not believe how big he was. Oh, he came out. He was like, he was close to 400.
I think he's been losing weight though, right? He's looking a lot better these days.
I don't know. I mean, I think he did for a while, but who knows how long
Yeah.
that stuff. I mean, he's probably on Ozempic. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not a fan, but I don't know if he is or isn't. But I'm not. I mean, for somebody that huge and then all of a sudden they start losing weight, sounds like Ozempic.
Could
But
be.
I'm not a fan of Ozempic or anything like that, and I'm gonna take this moment to just go off on it.
Okay.
In order for you okay, Ozempic robs you of a lot. Not it's not
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you lost weight, it's great." One, when these people get off of it, they balloon. And the reason is they've not built up the self-control and the habits necessary to actually keep weight off. 2, when you say no to your stomach, that's the most fundamental or one of the most fundamental ways that you have to deny yourself. So you're not building up self-control in general. When you build up self-control around your stomach, you're building up self-control in general in your personality. It bleeds into other areas of your life,
Yeah.
whether it's your study habits, whether it's your language, whether it's your libido, whatever it is. And then 3, men gain respect for themselves. Men respect themselves due to saying no to themselves.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
specifically,
true.
to food and to women. That's how men respect that I can say no to myself. Well, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity. You're
Right.
you're you're not building respect for yourself by saying, "Yeah, even though it really hurt and it was really uncomfortable to not eat for, 18 or 19 or 20 hours per day, or say maybe only eat one meal every other day, whatever, I still did it." Well, you develop a tremendous amount of self-respect through that. When you take Ozempic, you don't get any of that.
Very true. Yeah.
So it's really people think it's a royal road. Yeah, it's a royal road to get to screw yourself over in life. It's like, just stop eating so much. Well, I can't. Okay, because you have no self-control. How about every time I mean, it's like we gotta bring back fat shaming. We have to. I mean, I've already brought it back. I'm already like, "How much do you weigh?" Like, when I see people really I talk no, I ask them. I just ask them, "How much do you think?" "Well, that's not very nice." I go, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, like, if you're
Yeah.
worried about what people thought, you wouldn't look this big in public. I mean, you're not just muffin toppy, you're huge.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's not pleasant when people make fun of you. You look back in these older I mean, talk about, like, the '50s and the '60s and '70s. You notice, like, you see pictures from, like, hardly anyone was fat.
Yeah.
They all
Well,
have crappy teeth, but, hardly anyone was fat.
their PT programs in school were also, like, more demanding than modern boot camp. Like,
Yeah, that
I
is true, and, and it's
I've
also they were very upfront with you. I mean, when I lived in
yeah.
the Arab world, Arabs will be very upfront with you about people's weight. I mean, very upfront.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's such like it's low-hanging fruit for, like, self-discipline, and, like, it's so easy. Like, it's so easy to just not be fat. Like, like, it's really not that hard. Now, there are certain people, a vast minority, right? A vast minority of people that actually have a legitimate condition, right? I think this is used as a scapegoat for a lot of people, but it does happen. Um, but it's
Maybe
really
you have,
it's
like,
yeah,
hyperthyroidism or something, it's like,
yeah.
"Okay, we'll get on medication for it," and then I mean, you see, like, fat clergy. That is scandalous. Fat
Well
clergy,
so
absolutely
this is
scandalous.
an interesting point because I wonder about this about our fasting. I wonder if our fasting rules need to be updated to because right now, like, listen, like, our fasting rules encourage, like, carb heavy processed foods, like, and so what ends up happening, right, is yeah, I think a lot of clergy end up overweight. They actually are abiding by the fasting rules, right? But it's because they're surviving on literally like nothing but carbs and sugar because that's allowed in the fasting rules. And also, like shellfish, for example, historically, right? One of the reasons why this was permitted, as during fasting season was why? Well, it was because this was like prison food, right? It was cheap, right? And that's one of the purposes of fasting, right? Is to now obviously it's also the blood aspect. I understand that that's also an aspect too, but one of the reasons was, hey, it's cheap. It's and this is why we fast, right? We fast to give more, in almsgiving, and it's like, well, in the modern day, it's actually more expensive, and you can go out and have a lobster dinner and spend, $200 on your dinner, but you're abiding by the fasting rule. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you should be eating less on fasting days in general. I mean, you should be waiting late into the day to eat, okay?
Yeah.
It's like, again, I'm in my 40s. Your metabolism slows down massively around 30. And people go, "Oh, you don't know how hard it is." Hello? So, I mean, you should be eating much less. And I think a lot of clergy, they have stressful, their job is, decently stressful.
Right.
It's not like they're getting electrocuted regularly. Not like they're getting sued constantly like doctors. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, they're on call 24/7, but I think a lot of them, they comfort eat. Now, I won't say that most clergy are fat, but I mean, it's like I know clergy who are on Ozempic. It's like you don't. I mean, how's that? You don't have the self-control to lose weight,
Hmm.
but you have to go on Ozempic? I mean, this is scandalous. This is absolutely scandalous. It's
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer that yeah, I don't expect a lot from clergy, but one of the things I do expect is they don't be fat.
Fair.
You don't have to be you don't have to be ripped. You don't have to be jacked. Just I mean, okay, a little muffin topping, it happens. Okay, you get older, all right? But anything more than just a touch of muffin topping, no. No, this is not acceptable. You see, I don't expect my clergy to be like knowledgeable about like church history or languages or even good singers. I just expect them to be like I realize they're people. They have different skill levels. Some are really good at hearing confessions.
Mm.
Some aren't. Some are really good at singing. Some aren't. Some are great financial administrators, and I think that we have this idea that our clergy need to be scholars of history and languages and liturgics and great singers and great confession hearers and just the amazing administrators and be on the head of the construction board. And it's like you're gonna get like two of those things, and then the rest they're just gonna be sub average. And the reason is they're people, and people are that way.
Hmm.
Usually we have a couple of things that we're really good at, and then other than that we go, I don't know, go ask Mr. Souvlakidis. He knows more about that. And so, but one of the things I do expect from clergy is they're not fat.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like you don't have to be uh what's it called? You don't have to be like you don't have to be Father Moses. You don't have to be ripped. Just don't be fat.
Yeah.
And I hold everyone to that standard. Just don't be fat. I don't respect fat people because they don't respect themselves. Why should I respect them? I mean, I respect them in general, like you're a human, but
Right.
like
Right. You
I'm
can
not
show
like,
respect. You can show respect to someone without having respect for them. Yeah, that's
yeah,
like
it's
a
not
huge
hard to
distinction.
to
Yeah.
not be fat. You just it's like put some effort in. If you can't put
Yeah.
in effort in terms of your health, what are you gonna put effort in on?
Well, and this is, I
Like,
mean, yeah, no, and this is actually, this is a huge, this is a huge area of, I feel like, of hypocrisy in like American culture too, because like you have all these Southern Baptist, pastors that are just like morbidly obese who think that like drinking is a sin, and it's like they won't allow you to have a beer, right? But they're having 7 cheeseburgers for dinner, and they're 370 pounds preaching about up here preaching about alcoholism. Like, bro, like, how about gluttony? Can we talk about
Lord.
gluttony? Like, have you ever heard gluttony like preached from the pulpit? I can't think of any in my Protestant days or in my Orthodox days. I can't remember it ever being talked about. Now that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think not
And
once.
it's I have heard it, and it was from a priest, a very godly priest who I think is a living saint.
Mm,
I'm not gonna say his name because he would lose that saintly demeanor very quickly if I said his name online. But he's a very he goes back and forth to Athos.
mm,
Uh, very, very he's a married priest, very monastic. Look, this is the important thing. On fast days you got to eat very, very little. Okay, not only are you limiting the food you eat, but you're actually, because limiting the food you eat, like not eating meat, not eating dairy, that's abstaining. Okay, actual fasting is waiting until like 3 p.m. to eat.
yeah.
And if people are actually doing that, you're gonna burn off those carbs you're eating really quickly. I mean, you can eat beans, okay? You can eat shrimp, you can eat, most fastest fish. Okay, it's very well, not most fastest fish, but you can eat shellfish. Okay, there's protein in those, and there's just no. I mean, especially now, it's not like you have to go out and catch your own shrimp. You go to the market, it's like, okay. Now a lot of people have a hard time because they don't have a stay-at-home wife. I'm very lucky. I have a stay-at-home wife. She's a fantastic cook. She handles all of these things. Um, you know, All right, chill out, pufferfish. He's got an axe to grind for some reason. But anyway, I'm telling you, man, these Gen Z, like you give them a little critique and
Oh
they
man.
go nuts. They can't take it. It's because they can't take it, raised by their single moms.
Yeah.
But anyway, not having a dad around really screws these people up. But like, I mean, I don't think the fasting rules need to be adjusted. I think that we just need to actually enforce them.
But what do you think about like for example, like I brought up the shellfish thing. Like, it's I feel like there's other ways, to like that are much more cost friendly. Cause I feel like I said, I talked to a lot of people that have this same problem. They actually end up spending more money, and it's not just to eat healthy. I'm not talking about like people who are fat. I'm talking about people that take like their nutrition seriously, they take their fitness level seriously, and they're trying to get, protein, and they end up having to spend all this money, right, to get vegan protein and to get shrimp and whatever. And I just wonder, like, gosh, there seems like, you know would it be the worst thing ever if we allowed people to have like unseasoned chicken or something? I don't know, because it's way cheaper than shrimp. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I'm just saying it's a problem that I've seen people talk about, and I definitely can relate to it too.
For me, like, I don't do the vegan protein. I mean, the advice that was given to me is if it's not an obvious ingredient, don't worry about it.
Mm.
Okay. Now, then again, I was also the guy who didn't realize that yogurt was dairy. Okay. I'll own that. Okay. I'll own that one.
Well, and
Just shows you.
eggs are not dairy. Did you know that eggs are not? See,
True.
people think eggs are dairy. They're not.
So, I mean, a lot of the fast is just depriving yourself of things that you enjoy. And so, it's like a priest told me
True.
that the moment that you start to this goes back to the priest lecture on gluttony. The moment that you start to tell people, okay, look, you need to actually give some money to the church.
Mm.
Okay. One. And two, you can't have your comfort foods. Whoa. Whoa. Those are open nerves. It's also one of the reasons why the clergy, a lot of them will not lecture on, like, look, like like girls, like you cannot be horoscopes. They don't want to deal with the blowback.
Yeah.
Two, a lot of the clergy are overweight themselves. Okay.
Hmm.
A significant minority of the clergy have daughters who are just totally out of control. The preacher's kid syndrome, where the kids are just nuts. Okay. So, can they really get up there? I mean, how many of them can get up there? So, of those who can get up there, which is probably the most, who aren't fat, who don't have horoscope daughters, okay, how many of them want to deal with the blowback because Mr. Souvlakidis, one, his daughter's a horoscope, and two, you know, he doesn't want to give a lot of money.
Mm.
They don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
that's why
definitely
you don't hear about it.
yeah. No, it's an uncomfortable topic, but it's
So
not
I talk
just in
about it.
Orthodoxy. Yeah. Yeah. It's not just.
By the way, when
It's
I
everywhere.
talk about these things, I get letters from clergy going, "Thank you for saying this.
Mm. Hmm.
Thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. I have that experience too, especially with a lot of younger priests. They'll message me privately, and they ask that I don't publicly say that they're supporting me, but like I get a lot of younger priests that message me, and I'm very white pilled on the next generation of priests for sure. They're very like minded to a lot of the things we're talking about today. And they're willing to talk about the difficult topics too, and that's something that it's just very much lacking, and it's not just the Orthodox Church. I mean, this particular issue I think is actually more prevalent in Protestantism, especially like the Southern Baptists, but it is a major issue in Orthodox. It's an issue in America. That's the problem. It's an American problem, I think. It's because and Canada, is like, and part of it is our food, man. Our food is so bad. Our food is poison. Our food is absolute poison. So, but yeah, anyways.
Yeah. All right. So on to the other thing. So we've talked about nationalism a bit,
Yeah.
and I realize this is a fourth. What time is it now? Where you are, like 1:30?
Yeah, it's 1:30.
So you probably have a barbecue to get to. So let's get on these other topics. Okay.
Sure.
everyone knows about the influence of AIPAC in the U.S. government. They
Yeah.
really, I mean, they have their meat hooks in the U.S. government. Where do you see this going?
Yeah, well, and it's not just APAC, it's this APAC's actually been kind of ever since Massey kind of exposed them, they've been kind of going into hiding. And actually with this bill that's being introduced, I think so this bill to merge securities, basically what the bill does is it would have the SecDef appoint a designated individual like to basically control, American and Israeli relations as far as our military and our technology. It's very scary. You go read it, like they would have access to a lot of our data. So they're going to have access to the data of American citizens and things of that nature. But one of the things that I think they're trying to do with this bill is they're trying to sort of like mitigate this necessity for the lobbying, from AIPAC and these other Jewish lobbies, because they're taking so much heat from it. It's so obvious and they're taking all this heat now, right? 98%, people bring up like other lobbies or like, oh, well, lots of people would do foreign lobbies. 98% of AIPAC backed candidates get in. 98%. That's their number that they brag about, by the way.
Again, just like Soros being a system hacker
Yeah.
through getting his DAs elected as district attorneys.
Yeah.
AIPAC, that's another group of system hackers.
Right.
And this is a thing that I find is that as white people, we tend to go, oh, no, Marcus of Queensbury rules. We're not going to sink to their level. It's like, you losers. No, we're going to sink to their level and much lower. I would rather have a filthy win. I mean, disgusting kind of win that you think about. You're just like, oh, God, I won that way. Oh, boy. And have like come out on top and be able to enforce morality than well, we lost, but we took the high road. Okay, great. I mean, like this, like Jeb Bush kind of crap. This like neocon. Like, look, I'm like, no, go scorched earth on these people. And I'm not talking yeah. I mean, if I got into political power, I'd be like, we're investigating all my political enemies now. Okay, what can you find? I want search warrants. I want everything. I want to ruin their lives. Like, this is what we're gonna do. Like, and I saw this guy who got doxxed on the internet. He's an Orthodox guy.
I saw that. Yeah. Very sad.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, don't dox a journalist that doxed me. This is a time for revenge." It's like, no, dude, this is not about revenge. This is about making sure there's order. This is about them learning the lesson. The reason why the left does all this stuff is there's no consequences for them.
Yep.
But notice it with the Charlie Kirk stuff. The minute that we started going after these people and doxing them, not me personally, but the moment that like people like what was his name? Chauvin, I think it was, the dude has a Gaelic name in his X account. The minute they started going after these people and creating databases, whoa, they chilled out quickly.
Yep.
They chilled out very quickly. And this is what the right doesn't get. If you are playing a game with someone who's cheating, the answer is not to keep following the rules. The answer is flip the board over.
Yes, absolutely.
You become scary to these people. I was like, well, we don't want to break rules. The right is made up of people who actually respect the rules. And they think, well, if we just keep respecting the rules, the other side is going to eventually go, you know what, they are right, and respect the rules. It's like, no, this never, ever happens.
Nope.
The savages will take over if you don't go savage on the savages.
Yeah, I heard a quote. No, go ahead.
I was reading something recently about this guy, Cabral. Okay, so what was his name? Vasco da Gama comes to India. Sets up trade relations.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple years later, this guy Cabral, another Portuguese dude, comes over, sets up a factory, gets in Calicut. He gets permission from the local ruler. And this is in the video I did on Nestorians. This is a fourth video. Okay. This is a guy who really makes contact with Indian Christians. It's about 1502, 1503. He comes over, sets up a factory with the permission of the local Hindu ruler. The Muslim merchants go, you know what? We don't like this. This is not good for us. So they get a mob going. They attack the factory and kill 60 Portuguese. Cabral goes, waits 24 hours, asks the Hindu leaders, what are you going to do about this? They're not going to do anything. So Cabral goes, all right, goes out into the harbor, gets 10 ships belonging to the Muslim merchants, kills all 600 of the crew, loots the ships, burns them, then says to his ships, bombard the city of Calicut for 12 hours, just cannon, level it. Okay. It's like, wow. Yeah. I mean, like, this is what low IQ people understand.
Mhm.
This is what they don't understand, like, Marcus of Queensberry rules, which for those who don't know, Marcus of Queensberry is the rules regulating boxing. What they understand is force.
Mhm.
And we go, well, that's rude. That's mean. You can't say that. It's like, no, when you get below a certain IQ, people stop understanding hypotheticals.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
No,
not that low of an IQ.
no, it's not.
It's around like
Yeah.
low 90s.
And it's why
Stop
these people fail
understanding.
the it's why these people fail the breakfast question. How would you feel if you didn't eat
Yeah.
breakfast this morning? It's like, but I did eat breakfast this morning. It's like it's crazy how many people just fall for that. No, I saw a quote. It was libertarians or libertarianism is when you think that everyone else is your 120 IQ self. That's what libertarianism is. It's when you assume that everyone else is the same IQ as you. And you don't understand that these people, they need to be, to an extent, they need to be steamrolled. And this is, by the way, historical Christianity. I just did a video about this on my Instagram about, I was talking about Vlad the Impaler, who is an Orthodox hero, right? We have
Great
others
guy.
who are we have
Friend of
others
the
who are,
show.
yeah, we
Vlad
have
the Impaler, friend of the show.
yes, very much. We have others who are canonized saints, Saint Stephen the Great, who fought alongside Vlad the Impaler, right? And they were brutal on these invaders, right? They were brutal. I mean, like, bro, he made a forest of impaled Ottomans and traitors. Like, he took all the traitors and the Ottomans that were wreaking havoc and he impaled them in a forest. And then the Sultan turned around when he saw it. He was like, yeah, I don't want nothing to do with that. Because that's what they understand. That's what they understand.
Can you imagine that? You just go to like Stockton,
Yeah.
California. You're just like, we're impaling the troublemakers. It's like, Al Sharpton comes in, like, turns around, leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't remember what were we even talking about. I don't remember how we got to this.
AIPAC. Sorry.
Oh,
AIPAC.
yes, AIPAC. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, they're trying to isolate because they're taking so much heat, right? They're trying to isolate this now to just the SecDef. So, with this new bill, with merging securities, now the SecDef is basically going to control funding, and he's going to have basically like almost like full autonomy over like American and Israeli, relations as far as our militaries. So, so that's kind of the direction they're heading, which is obviously terrifying. Thinking about them having access to our Palantir tech and things of that nature, our data that I'm sure that Palantir has, all that stuff. So yeah, that's obviously terrifying to think about. But yeah, I mean, people will deflect. They'll say, "Oh, like, well, what about the Armenian lobby, or what about the Qatar lobby?" And it's like, are these lobbies? Do they have a 98% success rate? A 98% success rate, right? And by the way, bipartisan. So the only other lobby that comes close are like the gun rights lobbies, right? But those are strictly Republican. They're strictly Republican. And so that's why they have such a high success rate, because they basically just back every Republican, right? AIPAC is bipartisan. They're bipartisan, and they still have a 98% success rate. That's insane.
It's one of the few things they can actually agree on.
Yes.
Both sides.
Yes.
It's really the exposure of the monoparty.
Yeah. Well, Massey,
AIPAC, not a friend of the show. Definitely not a friend of the show.
Not like our boy Vlad. Not like our boy Vlad.
Not like ACAT single mom's boyfriend.
What?
Do you see these from
ACAT single mom's boyfriend? Yeah.
Here's a good one. Ubi, the impaler of the Gen Z. Only the softies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Oh, goodness.
They were like going through the chat, but like friend of the show. Like,
yeah.
Okay, sorry. Anyway,
no, you're fine. Yeah.
So where do you see this going? I mean, is it going to get passed or what? I mean, probably.
Oh yeah, no, it absolutely is going to get passed, because Massey and then a Democrat, they tried to sponsor an amendment to get rid of that clause that would, like I said, merge securities. Congress, they didn't even allow it to go to enter into debate. They didn't even, they literally shot it down. They shot it down without any debate. They didn't even allow any debate on it. And so like I just, it's like you said, these bills pass with flying colors in Congress right now, and after this gets passed, they don't even need Congress anymore. So it's going to be even harder to identify. I mean, at this point, I'm even wondering how much they actually care about hiding what they're doing. Like I don't even know if they do care anymore. Once they get this passed, it doesn't matter. They have all the authority they need to get all the funding they need without Congress, to have full autonomy over, again, American-Israeli relations with just one person, right? One representative, right? So yeah, I mean, it's pretty grim at this current state. Now, here's the problem, right? Is you have people that are like, they'll be anti-Zionism at all costs, and so they'll ally with like Mamdani, and it's like, bro,
Yeah,
like, do you understand that this guy is backed by all the left-wing Jews? Like, all the left-wing Jews are backing him. So like, you're making a deal with demons to take down the devil. I don't even know. Like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, and so yeah, I mean, it's a hard dynamic to walk, which is really what my platform is about. My platform, one of the main things that I try to do is offer people sort of an off ramp of like, look, I'm anti-Israel, I'm anti-Islam / immigration. Like, you don't have to make these compromises, right? These are both destroying our society, right, in different ways, but they're destroying it. And by the way, there's actually a lot of chemistry between these two entities, because guess what? The right-wing Zionists are bombing the shit out of, all these Middle Eastern nations and destabilizing them. Like, and honestly, we've contributed to this too, in like Somalia and Libya and, Syria and all these.
And then we get flooded with
Exactly.
people who want to leave. Yeah,
Exactly.
and this is what people don't get, is that you have the situation where they think like, well, if you side with the Palestinians. By the way, I live with
Yeah.
Palestinians. The Christians are very nice people, but the Muslims, extremely chaotic people.
Yes.
They're not the kind of, I mean, the stat you hear about how Palestinians make more than the median income in America. Yes, because most Palestinian Christians are outside of the Palestinian territories.
Yeah.
That's why it's a Christian population. Okay, you start getting the Muslims. Oof. I spent 4.5 years of my life living as an English teacher, studying Arabic and Turkish, living amongst the Muslims. Those people are chaotic.
Yeah.
They are low IQ. They're chaotic. They're not the kind of people you want in your country. And guess what? Deborah Sheckelberg wants you to have more of them here.
Yep. Exactly. So it's perfect chemistry. They're all tapped into this demonic energy. So it doesn't even matter. Look, if the BBs of the world are officially working with the Soroses of the world, I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're both tapped into this same demonic energy, right? And that's why they have perfect chemistry in their destruction of the West, right? And that's their end game. You listen to all these people talk. They want the European Western Christian empire to fall. That is what they want. That is their end game. They see us as their biggest threat. And so both sides of them. And by the way, Netanyahu has openly said this. He openly talks about, he says how we are new Rome. And then he's always talking about how, Jerusalem and Rome are in this perpetual war, right? And how they're going to win this time. And so he's very open about this. Like, yeah, you guys are Rome and we're going to destroy Rome. Like, all you have to do is have the IQ to put the two pieces together, right? This is how they speak. This is how their leadership speaks. And so, yeah, I mean, it's right now, it's hard to not black pill, but
and part of that tactic is demoralizing young white men.
Yes.
By telling them there's no chances for them.
Yes.
By getting them addicted to adult content. That's another
Yes.
word we can't say, is the P word. Okay. Getting them addicted to adult content, getting them strung out on video games, numbing themselves with pot, video games, adult content.
Yeah.
That's like the 3 Ps. Don't do it.
Go slow.
Playing video games, pot, and the P word I can't say, the 3 Ps, stop.
Yeah.
It's getting them to think that all the women around them are total horoscopes and there's no hope at all. It's telling them stay out of the gym. It's telling them that, it's all cooked. That's part of it. It's a psychological war. It's Hasbara.
Yes, 100%. Yes. And so yeah, that's, I mean, and look, you have to have the right, I probably can't say his name on here, but CZC, the Romanian nationalist, he has a very good passage in his book that I probably also can't say on here, but he talks about what it means to win and having the right perspective on winning, right? And he makes the point, he says it doesn't matter. Even if 99% of people are against you, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you carrying on the legacy of the faithful that went before you. That's what it really means to win. And I see this is honestly a concept that's very prevalent in the Orthodox Church. I see this with our saints, right? Our saints, could look at the rise of, the rise of the Ottoman Empire, basically, a completely overrunning, right, our once great, Orthodox Christian empire, right? But the saints understood that, like, they were put on this planet, right, to carry on the torch, right? We talk about apostolic succession. How about the succession of saints in every generation, in every nation that's been Christianized, right? Carrying on this torch. And so that's why I will never ultimately black pill. Hey, maybe America will fall. I don't know. I'm going to do everything in my power to not let that happen, Lord willing. And I'm never leaving, by the way. These cowards that say they're going to run away to Serbia or wherever, that's what you are, dude. You're a coward. You're a coward. This is your home.
Good luck surviving in Serbia.
Yeah, this is your home. You fight for your homeland, right? You never quit on your homeland. So I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving. And yeah, you know what? America might burn. I don't know. But what I do know is that when I talk to young people, my goodness, man, I am just so encouraged. I mean, like you said, everybody under 45 thinks this way. Everybody on the right is completely united on, like, the immigration issue, the race issue.
Yeah, under 45, yeah.
Yeah, 45. And then for the Israel issue, it's everyone in under 45 in general. It's the left and the right.
Want nothing to do with them.
Yes. So it's
and
like
I said that repeatedly. They go, we've lost people under, what was it, like 30, something like that. Yeah. Again, though, the answer is not to doomer and black pill and say, oh, there's nothing I can do. I mean, every time I do one of these streams, I tell guys, look, get into the gym, get into the dojo, get rid of the video games, delete your social media. Sure, keep your YouTube so you can listen to stuff while you're working out. Okay.
Yeah.
But have real life interactions. Delete your Discord, delete your X, delete your Facebook, delete your Instagram. If you're 40 and over and you have Instagram, you're a PDF file. In my opinion, it's my opinion. But if you have a Discord and you're on Discord, all that, it's like, come on, you have better things to do with your life. These are minutes of your life you're never gonna get back. Every time I say this stuff, I get these guys going, but you don't know what women are like now. It's like, no, I know what they're like. They're exactly the same as they always have been. It's like, oh, but women were so good in the past. Is that why we didn't allow them to vote? Just so good? Like, what kind of fantasy do you guys live in? Like, dude, I mean, estrogen is estrogen, okay? Like, I mean, it's just women are they're just always this way. I talk to Gen Z women, it's like, yeah, they're kind of flat, boring versions of millennial women, okay?
Yeah.
I talk to Gen X women, they're just kind of flat, boring versions of millennial women, okay? I talk to boomer women. I go, oh, they're just older versions of millennial women. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like we say, I can't say this on it's like in electrical, we say this, whether it's commercial electrical or residential, industrial, it's all copper on the inside, right? It's all copper on the inside. It's all electrons, it's all watts, it's all voltage, it's all farads, it's all ohms, okay? They're all women, okay? And so the problem I find with the younger guys is that so many of them they doomer out. They just give up. They haven't been taught to be resilient. You've been taught to be very resilient, to bounce back, to fight back. And I just don't get why. I understand how, I should say, this has happened. These guys have had very weak male figures, very weak father figures. And it's like, here's how you solve it. You get into situations where, one, you're not numbing yourself out on the 3 Ps, okay? Get into a situation where you're around men. They can look, boys do not become men. Boys are made into men.
Yes, very true.
Girls will become women. They start their period, they just sort of naturally turn into women. When you have kids, you'll realize this right away. Women know right away what to do with a child, and the guy is just like, "Okay, what do I do?" Right? So the girls just they know what to do in terms of being a woman because they just grow into it. For boys, if they don't have a man there to break them down and build them back up, they just stay man children
Yeah.
forever. And that's what I'm seeing with so many of these Gen Z guys. They're not even I should say a substantial portion of them, if maybe even a slight majority. It's like they're not I mean, on a good day, they could be man children. It's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
When you doom her out like that, you are literally giving into the psychological warfare that has been waged against you.
Yes. Yep. But like you said, I think it's easy to black pill. It's easy to just feel like we're doomed. But yeah, that's really one of the main points on my platform is, I try to give guys, really I like that you're giving them tangible things, because I try to do the same thing, and we talked about local government earlier. That's a crucial aspect. I think, as Orthodox, we recognize, this stuff starts internally. You have to conquer yourself first, right? Before you can conquer the world. And so yeah, I think it's good that you're having guys do that because, man, I mean, it's that classic phrase, the weak men create good times, the phrase. And so right now we need a generation of strong men. I just made a video about this, did really well on Instagram. It was just a random rant. I pointed out, I was like, all these, if you're a young guy and you get told you're racist for your political views or whatever, racist or mean or bigoted or whatever you get called, it's usually coming from like these, the boomers, these the race blind boomers, and, a lot of Gen X too, I think. And it's like, this is, you guys got us into this mess. Like, do you think I want to be this way? Do you think I want to be the bad guy? You think I want to have to, talk about these difficult issues? No, I want to do what you did. I want to pretend like they don't exist. I want to sing Kumbaya with everyone and pretend that race isn't real and America's for everybody and all these things, except I don't want my children growing up in freaking Saudi Arabia. And that's what's going to happen if I do that. If I stand idly by, just like all these generations that went before me, guess what's going to happen? America's not going to be America anymore. It's now or never. I tell guys this all the time. It is this generation or it's never. America's done. If it's not us, it's no one, and America dies. That's it. So either stand up or get out of the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so many of the things that make people successful socially used to be baked into society. It was baked into your upbringing.
Mhm.
Learning how to make friends, learning conversation skills, staying fit, as you pointed out. The fitness standards used to be higher than boot camp. Now you're a Marine, right?
I was a Marine, yeah, 7 years.
What did
Yep.
what did you do in the Marine Corps?
So I was a aircraft maintenance officer on the F-35, and then my last 3 years in, I actually worked at Marine Corps boot camp. So I was what's called a series commander. So I was in charge of drill instructors. So I saw
Oh, wow.
I saw how I saw how the standards have dropped, in boot camp, and like it's honestly true. Like, I mean, classic PT standards were probably significantly more demanding than like what modern Marine Corps boot camp has turned into, unfortunately. Like, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you can see the mental weakness of the people that were coming in. It's to the point the army actually started doing a pre-boot camp
Oh,
to prepare you for boot camp. That's how bad it's gotten. So the Marine Corps hasn't done that yet, but I mean, it's only a matter of time, unfortunately.
I was in a Home Depot yesterday, and all of the guys, whenever I go into a Home Depot or Lowe's and I'm looking for something, I always look for the older white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I came up to this younger white guy, and he's just like this like very frail, like, yeah, and I'm like, "Do you have like pipe dope?" Because I had to like handle my kid sent Legos down the I think it was a 5-year-old, sent Legos down the garbage disposal.
Oh no.
So I'm just like, "I'm buying a new one." My wife's like, "No, we're not buying a new one." So we take it apart, and it turns into one of those spats you have with your spouse where it's lots of, like, not like an art, not like just that kind of like both of you are irritated, you're both trying
Yeah.
to handle the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my wife's like, "I'm gonna fix it." My wife is very mechanical. She's actually
Okay.
very mechanical. It's very rare for a female.
Yeah.
She goes outside with a hose, hoses the thing out, like a couple of Legos come out. There's like some like peach pits, probably the peach pits, and she gets the thing working again. It was
Yeah.
incredible, right? And so, then I have to like, eat humble pie. I'm like, "Oh yeah," realistically.
I told you you could fix it, baby. I told you you could do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, like when the dish she has like she loves, like, taking things apart. She's very
Yeah.
mechanical, okay? So, we get the thing going. I have to go into Home Depot, get some piped up. I call my brother's a plumber up in Seattle. He goes, "Oh, yeah, get this
Yeah.
brand of piped up, put it in." Okay. Get the drain going. Okay, so I come in, I go, "Hey, where's plumber's buddy?" And, sorry, not piped up, plumber's buddy. And, piped up is the stuff you wrap around the threading, the putty is the stuff you put on a drain. So, it's this frail, like, I don't, I don't let me pull out my phone and look on the app. I'm like, "I don't know." I see this old white dude is, like, hunched over like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, do you, I need plumber's putty." He goes, "Aisle 17 on the right from this direction. It's in the center and the second shelf up."
Yeah.
I go there, as a boom, it's right where the guy said it was.
Yep.
It's just without fail, right? But I see this, like, this sort of, like, frail, wimpy,
Yeah.
like, yeah, if I mean, I have 2 daughters, so I think about guys, I'm like, "Okay, like, who are they gonna marry?" It's like,
Mm.
a lot of the guys in really great shape, they have no social skills. Well, that's what women look for. A
Yep.
lot of the guys who have okay social skills, they're these guys, like, it's just, like, low energy is what it is.
Yeah.
They've been totally psyoped by the whole, like, just get these guys, get these dudes as broken down and demoralized as you possibly can, and then nothing stands in your way.
Very true.
Take the group of people who have historically been the most effective, the most efficient, and then just make sure, boom, they are totally demoralized. This is the
Yes.
doomer thing. It's like this whole, like, looks maxing stuff, which is super
Oh my
serious.
gosh.
It is so creepy. So, the looks maxing thing too, it's like, okay, that's just another, I mean, that's just like the transformer stuff for, like, supposedly straight dudes.
Yep.
Okay, I go off about, like, "Look, you guys need social skills," and all of a sudden, do you know who floods the comment section? Is a bunch of dudes telling me, "Well, the reason why you get married isn't because of social skills." And then they start telling me I'm good looking. I suddenly have hundreds of supposedly straight guys telling me I'm good looking. That's creepy. That is really creepy. I mean, really creepy. Okay, so
Yeah.
anyway, all right, on to the SSPX ordinations.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
Society of St. Pius X. Okay, so um uh chill out, pufferfish. Okay. Um Oh, we got a super chat coming in. Was just a ace this morning. Thank you, Tanner G, for the $5. Building sawhorses and same exact experience. Old white dude knew exactly where everything was. Yeah, no kidding, right? It's funny because when you talk to boomers, you can tell them, okay, from different parts of the world, yeah, people have different heights. Okay.
Yep.
Sure, they have different skin colors. Yeah, they have different hair colors. Yeah. You can group those geographically. Oh, yeah, different eye colors. Yeah, you group those geographically. Oh, yeah, African Americans have higher rates of hypertension and heart disease. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Europeans have higher rates of dementia. Asians have higher rates of lactose intolerance. Oh, you can group all these physical characteristics geographically, except the brain. The brain is the exception.
Mhm.
Oh, no, 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 no. Your cognitive abilities are just this nebular thing floating separate from your body. It's like, no, we know IQ is genetic. We
Yeah.
know from studies on identical twins who are adopted out. We know.
Right.
It is
Right.
almost entirely genetic. Anyway,
Yeah, I
so
think you can swing it like 10 points or something like that with nurture, but
I think that's very generous.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
generous, the 10 points. Yeah. So, Okay. Yeah. Okay. So on to the SSPX.
Yeah.
Okay. Who, y- for those who don't know the history of the SSPX, they broke off under Lefebvre, I think back in what, the 70s, and then he ordained some bishops in the 80s. John Paul II excommunicated him for it. Was it under Francis that they were given faculties to hear confessions again? I think it was. Or was it under? It
I
was
think it
under
was
him.
Francis. Yeah.
And then they put that whole like heal with my mouth cardinal, the dude who wrote that book, Heal You with My Mouth. It's a weird book, in charge of negotiations of the SSPX. And the SSPX were like, maybe we don't really want this guy. They went ahead. It was 4 bishops they ordained recently.
I think it was 4. Yeah.
4. And the Vatican, before they did it, said, look, here's the dealio. If you do this, we're going to excommunicate all the clergy.
Hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on the SSPX situation? Because I had
Well,
a
and then
fair
it
amount of
wasn't.
interaction with them.
Yeah, it was 4, by the way. Yeah, and they didn't just they excommunicated the laity too. Excommunicated all the faithful as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, well, the reason why I think it's worth talking about is because, I think this is a problem that a lot of these Roman Catholic guys that think like us are facing, right? Is they're like, I like the Roman Catholic Church, it's big, it's convenient, and all these things, but it's got all this modernism, right? And so they're like, oh, okay, I'll just have the best of both worlds. I'll go Eastern Catholic, or I'll go, TLM, or, SSPX. And it's like slowly but surely, these things are, they're getting, now, first of all, to put this in context, right? I think it's like 98% of, Catholic parishes across the world are Novus Ordo or something like that. It's
Yeah,
it's the
it's huge.
vast majority since Vatican II, right? So we're talking about a tiny minority, right, of actual options outside of Novus Ordo that you have, and it's getting smaller every year, right? So SSPX has these valid concerns about Vatican II. They're like, hey, this council is very concerning. It does not match with, the prior dogmas that came before. They'll cite maybe some things that maybe some innovations that Francis has made as well, like with the death penalty in 2017, when that got changed. I mean, they admitted it was a change. There used to be a Vatican sanctioned executioner. There
Yeah, they
was
did it with a mallet too.
yeah. So we went from a Vatican sanctioned executioner to the death penalty is immoral and a violation of humanity. Bro, like, how can you possibly say that's the same church? How can you possibly say that? Like, it's so unserious. And the SSPX have all of the right concerns, right? But now they're in no better, they're actually in worse. This is the irony. I tweeted about this yesterday. The irony is they're actually now less legitimate in the eyes of Rome than we are, because
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about that, because the decree of ecumenism was very clear. Hey, we have salvation. We're a valid church. They lifted our excommunication even in 1965. They even go as far as to say we have an imperfect communion. That's
Well, that was
complete.
a personal excommunication against Kettler-Larios.
The one in 1965.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, but my point is that the decree of ecumenism is still very clear, right? That we have all these things. We have salvation. We have all the tools of salvation. We have we're a valid church. All these things of this nature. And so, anyways, it's just very interesting, like that. Now it's SSPX is in literally like a worse position in the eyes of Rome. And I feel bad. I do feel bad for him to an extent, but it's like, man, I mean, like, I don't get how. What do you think is the psychology here? Like why do you have things like sedevacantism? And now SSPX is effectively sedevacantism, as of this development, right? So if that's the case, like, why would that not be a glaring like arrow towards like orthodoxy? Like, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is a judgment. Because to us, it's like, hey, this modernism is a judgment, right? This is a judgment against you. It's the logical endpoint of your guys' heresies, right? And so to us, it makes perfect sense. But in a Roman Catholic paradigm, right? It's like, okay, why would it's not one pope. We're not talking about one pope. We're talking about every single pope since Vatican II. Every
Yep.
single pope has contributed to this modernism, has partaken in, Hindu feasts and, all the things we see, kissing Qurans and validating Islam in various ways and, various even like tribal religions and things of that nature. I mean, just insanity. So, and one of the things I ask a Catholic that I think is honest, I'm like, hey man, like, is there a single church father, any church father? You can pick one. Is there a single church father who, if they saw the Pope formally celebrating a Hindu feast, that they would not immediately assume they were apostate? Is there even one who would not automatically assume that? And any honest Catholics can be like, no, they would all, of course, they would know that that person has gone apostate. Like that is
Yeah.
apostasy, right? So yeah. Anyways, I don't know how much of a deep dive you want to go into this, but that's kind of my thoughts on it, man.
I know some people are like, oh, they should come over and do the Western Rite, and it's just like a lot of these SSPX people are really toxic people.
Well,
They're not
that too.
necessarily the kind of people you want in your church.
Yeah.
I heard a story recently by a guy on X about how they had an SSPX family join their church, their parish, Orthodox parish. Then it was like during COVID, I think he went back to the SSPX chapel. Then after COVID, he came back to the Orthodox Church. Then they moved to St. Louis. Then the dude went back to the SSPX parish.
Yeah.
These people are really into a rite, not into theology per se.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like detoxing as these people come out of it because they're very obsessed with the actual ritual itself, not necessarily with the theology behind it.
Yeah.
And I tell this to the Byzantine Catholic priests whom I know, and I know quite a few of them. If you think there's a future in Byzantine Catholicism, okay, most of the people in your parishes are simply people who can't get access to a traditional Latin Mass or a
Right.
significant portion. So how are you going to build up a healthy portion? How are you going to build up a healthy parish when a significant portion, maybe even a majority of the people in your parish are thinking that they're just biding their time until what they really want opens up and they
Yeah.
just jump ship, right? It's like the idea of like the Romans not allowing non-landowners to serve in the military. These people are not loyal, they have no stake in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer I get from all these guys is, well, that's just something that we have to deal with and be prepared for. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a kind of an ironic, like, I accept it for what it is attitude, but it doesn't solve the situation. I don't know if there even is a solution to it. I mean, the Byzantine Catholics are a tiny minority of people. We have 2
Right.
Byzantine Catholic churches here in Las Vegas, and that blows me away. In Las Vegas, you'd have 2 of them, not just 1. We also have a couple TLM parishes. One's, I think, SSPX, yeah, is a Sede one. There's a Latin Mass offered at a shrine, but it's like it's not even a real parish. It's just a local shrine. So, I mean, the thing with the SSPX is they will eventually, if you've ever watched the stuff about was Lefebvre actually excommunicated, it's this bizarre mental gymnastics around how he, was he? Well, he wasn't really, but technically this, technically that. It's like, well, you guys were excommunicated by the Pope, who you say you have to submit to. Well, it wasn't
Right.
wasn't ex cathedra. Well, he can't excommunicate if it's outside of the bounds of traditional teaching. It's like, well, the Pope is the head of the magisterium. He declares it.
Right.
And this whole idea that like, well, the Pope has to be communal. It's like, no, it doesn't. He just decides.
Right.
So I don't see the SSPX situation doing anything other than just simply proving my point, and that is that the Pope will just do do whatever he wants.
Yeah, yeah, and it's only and my point on top of that, it would be that they're just running out of place, and you're kind of implying this, like they're just running out of places to run. Nobody wants to go to Novus Ordo. Nobody wants to go receive the Eucharist from extraordinary ministers that are like 20-year-old girls wearing jeans. Like nobody wants that. Like nobody wants guitars in their liturgy. Like, but this is your church, guys. This is where you're at. So it's like you can hide in your little corners, but those corners are going away. Like Latin Mass is next, man. You already have to get permission every 18 months just to continue doing Latin Mass.
Oh, is
Like
it every 18 months?
I think it's every 18 months, unless they
Oh my
updated it.
gosh.
That's what it
I
was under
didn't.
Francis. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's gonna go away. And then gosh, I mean, wasn't there something under Leo with the Eastern Catholics too? Like, weren't they putting pressure on them as well? So it's like, I mean, you guys are running out of places to hide. And to be honest, I actually heard this take. I wonder what your thoughts are on this. There was a priest talking about how a lot of the bishops in the Eastern Catholic rite are very unhappy with how they're being treated. And he made the point. He was like, as Orthodox, we should go to them and offer them a bridge back. Offer them a bridge back into communion with us.
Maybe I think that realistically these guys are much more tied to their retirement fund.
Well, yeah, that's probably true.
It's a very good retirement. It's not, I mean, going and being like some ROCOR mission priest is just not for these guys. They would much rather, I mean, if they were going to be accepted anywhere, they'd go into the GOA, but the GOA retirement fund is like most retirement funds. It's, who
Do they
knows how
not
long
get?
they
Do
can
they not
last.
have their own money? The Eastern Catholics don't have their own money. They get it from the Vatican.
Yeah, I mean, it all runs through the Vatican. It's all dependent ultimately on that, as far as I know. I mean, maybe they have it tied into like local stock markets and
Yeah.
such, but if those stock markets fail, the Vatican's gonna take care of their priests. And a friend of mine he's Greek Orthodox, and he's friends with many Catholic priests, and he asked, he's a nice guy. He's very friendly towards Catholics. He said that when he asked these priests, why don't you just come over to the Orthodox Church? The priest answers, well, I got 15 more years till retirement. So
Oh my
that's
gosh, that's
effectively the
insane.
attitude. It's like, do
That's
you even
crazy.
want people like that? Like, I don't.
That reminds me of that reminds me of like that's like very much like the boomer mentality of America. Like it's like, why would I care about all these immigrants that are coming in when I have my BMW, I have my pool out back. Like it's very much like that same mentality. It's like everything's going great for me. It's like, yeah, until this comes to your doorstep, bro. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
well, I'll be dead first. Doesn't matter what happens. Here's a very boomer thing. I don't care what happens to my body. Oh, by the way,
yeah,
I want to spend it all before I die. Oh, by the
yep,
way, I want a really nice casket. So, yeah, it's just it's yeah, but it's I mean, do you really want a bunch of priests in your church who are like, oh, I have 15 more years until retirement? It's like, no, you don't want those
yeah.
people
No,
at all.
I don't want those.
There, yeah, and absolutely not. So, yeah, I do. I mean, every so often, I have like a Byzantine Catholic priest who comes over. One of them recently, I forget his name. He came over last year, or maybe it was beginning of this year, over on the East Coast. But it's a lot of Byzantine Catholics are basically they want the best of both worlds. They realize they can kind of hide out in the Byzantine churches for a while. They can venerate Saint Gregory Palamas. They can venerate, all sorts of Eastern saints. They can also venerate Coptic ones because why not?
Yeah,
Sort of, it kind of gives me the impression of like a high-ish church Anglican culture where we just sort of brush everything under the rug.
yep,
We don't, yeah, sure they disagreed, but ultimately, does it really matter? There's a lot of things none of us know. I mean, we could be wrong about things too. Sure, they were, and you just set yourself up as like an additional argument that sort of I know more than all of them combined. It's like,
mm,
okay, but you know, they'll be taken care of in terms of, I mean, at least relatively financially, and
yeah,
we are hitting a situation though where retirement ages are going up and up and up and up. They're going to have to because we have less and less people who are younger paying into the system. It's not just numbers wise we have less younger people. It's also that less younger people are working. And so less are paying into the system, and you have to have people buying stocks and paying in order to create the dividends necessary
Mm,
to fund retirement funds, and they're all ultimately tied back to the stock market.
yeah.
It's just a matter of steps until I've it's it's yeah, it's an odd situation, but ultimately it's like I heard I was listening to a podcast. A psychologist said, as a male, for me, I plan to work until I die in one form or another, at least part time.
Yeah.
But I heard a psychologist say something. I've heard this from other psychologists. I've seen this in my own life with older people. As a man, one of the worst things you can ever do for your health is retire.
It's true.
It is equivalent to, I heard somebody's estimated it is equivalent to taking up smoking an entire pack of cigarettes a day, retiring. And it's like you see this all the time. I go do work for people and they're nice. Oh yeah, I retire in a month. Okay, a year later I come back and they're just like glassy eyed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like you've heard of the Gen Z stare. Let me tell you about the retired boomer stare. Okay, like the Gen Z stare is nihilistic. The retired boomer stare is checked out, dulled.
Yeah.
And it is the only people who don't have that are the people who retire to volunteering.
Mm,
So they're at their church 3 days a week, packing lunches for volunteers who are, doing whatever. They've now, to every 2 weeks I go and do whatever, landscaping. They're also like, hanging out with their grandkids, constantly taking them around. But everyone thinks they're gonna do that, people go, "Well, I have a lot of hobbies." "What are your hobbies?" And people list off all these hobbies. "Oh, I love gardening." "Okay, when was the last time you gardened?" Years ago." "Okay, so you don't love gardening."
mm,
This is how you know when asking people what their hobbies are, people will give a list of things that they think sound good. Kinda like,
sure.
"What kind of music do you listen to?" "Oh, I like classical music." It's like, "No, you don't." Like, no, you don't what okay, what was the last classical piece you listened to? And they're, like, thinking back to, something you heard in a department store. There's only a handful of there's only there's only a handful of classical pieces I actually enjoy. One was Vivaldi's Four Seasons, the other's Mozart's Requiem, fantastic. The
Yeah.
Brandenburg Concertos, amazing. And, Wagner has some great stuff, but, it's like Schubert, I couldn't be bothered to listen to it.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of pieces I listen to. Okay, well, it's the same thing. People go, "Oh, I love hiking." "How often do you go hiking?" I haven't been able to do it lately. Okay, when was the last time you went hiking?" "Well, it's been." "Okay, look, when was the last time? Just tell me," right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. People think they have a lot of hobbies. They really don't. The hobbies that you actually have are the ones that you do regularly, and if you're not doing them regularly, they're not your hobbies. But so many people, they just, especially guys, they retire and they go, "Okay, what am I gonna do with my life?" And they just retire to their couch.
Yep.
It's like it actually seems like a majority of them, and people's health goes downhill. Just in the last month, um, one guy I know, he retired, and about 6 months later, he was put on, oxygen, 24-hour-a-day oxygen. Granted, he'd been a smoker, so it was a long time coming, but it's almost like you retire and it's just like boom, things set off. And then another guy, he was also put on oxygen too, hadn't been in a hospital since the day he was born.
Wow.
He's early 70s. Another guy, he he actually retired years and years ago, but he recently was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. And it's just the last month. And then another guy I know, he was looking forward to retirement, and this is a little bit unrelated, got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's you have enough health problems. The last thing you need to do is retire and have even more.
Yep. Yeah, I've always said, like, in many ways I consider myself retired right now because, like, I'm doing what I love. It's like I think that really is retirement. Like, if you are able to do, like, for a living, like what you enjoy doing and what you feel like you were put on this earth to do, like that is retirement. And like you should do that till you die. Like that to me, like that is retirement. And then yeah, but maybe when you're elderly, maybe spend a little bit more time with your grandkids and your great grandkids, Lord willing. But I think that is much more fulfilling this notion that you're going to be on the golf course every day. I give my grandpa credit though. My grandpa retired and he was on the golf course literally every day. He golfed
Really? Was he's a good golfer?
No, he wasn't good. That was the best part. He was determined.
He was determined. That's fantastic. I mean, I like that's another thing is that like around here in Vegas, you have all these retirement communities, these 55 and older, and these are horrible because they section
Yeah.
people off from their families, and you see it again and again. You get these people who are like, they move in there, they take the 55 and out retirement, okay, and now they're 80. One of their kids lives in Phoenix. Their sister lived in LA, but has now died. And then they got another kid up in, say, Portland, Oregon. Okay. This
Yeah.
person's from, I don't know, say Cincinnati. Okay. Well, all of a sudden, they have almost no friends. Okay. Their sister, they moved to Vegas because they thought it was a nice, like, in between area. They're not tied to their grandkids. The whole, like, the best part of their year, the twice a year that their daughter comes with the two grandkids who, just sit on their iPhones all the time. It's really depressing. I
That
mean,
is
it's
very
extremely
sad.
depressing. If you wanna do something really great, and this is why I always tell people, like, I don't my whole retirement plan is to keep working as long as I can to provide for my daughters and my grandchildren.
Yeah.
If I don't put money in retirement, I put onto the principal of my mortgage. My house will be paid off at the 11-year mark,
That's awesome.
okay? And I'm gonna go get another house, and what am I gonna do with that? Probably rent it out, I don't know, keep getting 'em, and then when my daughters get married, guess what? You have a house, okay?
Yeah.
Then my wife and I get older, sell the house we're in, see if we can buy one of those next gen houses, like a little house inside a duplex, live next to one of our kids. Always make it easy for your kids to live next to you and pass your wealth on to your kids in every way. That's
Yeah.
my plan, and it should be to stay connected with family.
Right.
'Cause I see all these elderly people have no one watching them.
So sad.
No one at all. They're all alone.
Yeah.
They're all alone. And I mean, you hear this, and this is to males and females. You wanna know what's really sad? It's not the people who stayed single their whole life and never had kids. They slowly got used to the idea of dying alone. It's the people who got married and they never had kids because they know that one day they're gonna wake up and the only person they have in the world is dead.
Mm.
That is sad.
Mhm.
That is really sad. The people I do jobs for who, they give me horrible health. When their kids and grandkids live nearby, these people are so happy. So, so
Oh,
happy.
yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I have people who bring me out to change light bulbs and just try and stuff me with food and coffee simply to have someone to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very sad. It's very sad.
It's yeah.
My grandma just moved back to kind of live in the same area. My grandma is a social butterfly. She had, a million friends in her little retirement village,
Mhm.
but she just moved back and she would talk all the time about how she really tried to take care of, all those around her because just like you said, they just have nobody. Like they don't have
Yeah.
family visit. They don't have friends. And if they do have friends, their friends are, they secretly hate them and,
Yeah.
like, and so, yeah, it's very sad. It really is, as much as we make fun of boomers, it's like, I mean, you guys did this to yourself, but at the same time, as a human being, I do have sympathy for them, and yeah,
Oh, I know some people who just moved in, not far from me, they're in my neighborhood. They moved out of the 55 and over retirement community because their son moved to the community I live in
yeah,
Sparata. They got a house not far from him, and I go, "Why'd you move out of the 55 and over community? You had a great view, your son was, just, still only like a few miles. You guys live like 8 minutes from my house, now you live like 7 minutes, now you live like 6 minutes from my house." Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, living around," and these people are like in their early 70s or, "Oh, living around all those old people? And the thing is, these old people complain constantly because they have nothing else to do. But once you get these older people around their kids, around their grandkids,
Yeah.
it fills them with hope because that's your real position as an older person is to be there for your kids, to be a
Yeah.
mentor for your kids, to be the calm voice to your grandchildren, right? That you remember your grandparents as like the calm one. Your parents were like, like you wrote on the couch with a marker. Ah! Your grandmother was like, all right, look, Ben, how about you come with me and we're gonna get some paper and we're gonna exercise those art skills on paper,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your dad is just having like a semi-aneurysm about like moving the couch cushion. I mean, that's what the job of like grandparents really is to be that
Yeah.
calm, like they have seen some shit.
Right.
So they're calm about things. And this is what I find again and again with older people. As long as you keep them tied into the family, they live healthier lives, they live happier lives. Moving
Yeah.
out to some retirement village, some C-rate semi-resort outside Boca Raton, where they at the local community center they play Margaritaville on repeat, and on Fridays they have margarita night, and they play they do the was it that the how low can you go with the stick, and they try and like the low
Yeah.
ball, whatever. That is hell. That
Yeah.
is that is horrible,
Yep.
as opposed to being there for your kids when their 2-year-old is just crapped in their diaper, taking it off as now walking through the house with poop on them. Like, being there for your kids and just being that calm voice for them, and like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll play with a 3-year-old for a bit while you handle this mishap with a 2-year-old." Like, that's where you really belong as an older person, is that sharing
Yeah.
that wisdom, that calm, that right.
Amen.
Anyway, anything else you would like to cover?
No,
Anything
I
you'd
think
like to plug?
um
Where can they find you on Twitter?
yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm most active actually on Instagram now because I've been really frustrated with Twitter's algorithm. So, but I'm Real Ben Michael. My handle's right there in my name. That's my Instagram and my Twitter and my YouTube. So I do my live content on YouTube usually every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2:00 Eastern. Usually I'd be going live right now, but I did this collab instead because
You're too
gotta.
kind.
But no, but yeah, so give me a subscribe if you're interested in any topics around politics. I'm trying to be an orthodox voice in politics. That's not just a Trump apologist. I want to actually try to address these major issues, and I don't feel like a lot of people are really talking about it from an orthodox lens. So I'm not any kind of, official Orthodox representative. I'm just an Orthodox Christian who tries to give a lens to these issues around Israel and Islam and immigration, American identity. My show is called American Orthodoxy because the whole purpose is to make America Orthodox. I really believe that America will be holy, and I think we have to do it. We actually have to do it. It's not just going to happen. Now, God can rise. He can make the rocks make it happen, right? If he has to, but we get to be part of it. We get to be the tools that he uses, right? To make America holy. So, Lord willing, that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, give me a follow if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
And I'm gonna put your information in the video description. Ben, if you could drop those into the comment section here, and then
Sure.
from there I can cut and paste them where they can find you on all these different social media uh, uh, posts.
Sounds good.
If you guys have any questions about anything, put them into the comment section. If you have a compelling comment to make, I'll interact with it. If you're just, shit posting, I'm probably not going to interact with that. But if you have something compelling to say, please do give Ben a follow. Check out his show. It's a great show. Ben, you have been absolutely excellent. It has been a tremendous honor to have you on. I thought it was only fitting that we have a patriot like yourself on 4th of July.
Yes.
Uh, and we got some great shows lined up. A lot of people coming up. You're going to find out. I'm going to be streaming most Saturday mornings. The reason I do Saturday mornings is because what time do you stream, Ben, on Saturdays?
2:00
2:00. So
Eastern. Yeah.
11. So I'll try and be done before that time. So I don't eat into your time. I try and coordinate with other people so we're not competing for audience.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so, brother. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad we finally got to collab. It's been a long time coming.
It was
so,
excellent. Anytime, Ben.
Yeah.
All right,
brother.
You take care. Happy 4th of July. Enjoy the barbecue. Enjoy the fireworks.
All right.
All right.
Take it easy, brother.
You too. Bye-bye.